The Penguin, season 1 comes to an end. Is it going to be a season 2? Well, it looks like the rumor is that the Penguin is going to show up in the Batman 2 and the Batman 3. It's not even a rumor. We know he's coming in 2, and it looks like 3. The question overall is going to be, have you guys seen last night's episode? Because if you didn't, we're going to spoil the shit out of it, at least in the beginning, and then we'll jump. So just be prepared for that. It's going to be a long conversation about this show, one of the greatest shows probably in quite a while, and HBO did a great job with it. So Rocha and I will be discussing this show to a T. So it is Monday. Happy Veterans Day to everybody. Let's get into the show. Myself, John Rocha. Here we go, all. Boom. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the show. As I mentioned before, happy Veterans Day. And someone I like to say happy Veterans Day to is Mr. John Rocha. Happy Veterans Day, sir.
You're welcome.
Yes.
You need me on that wall. You want me on that wall. That's right.
That's right.
Here we go.
Well, welcome back.
Everybody, of course. Happy Veterans Day. Thank you all for your service, my fellow soldiers. Yeah.
Yes. So I'm going to, I got to make sure that after we get off the phone, or off the show, I'm going to call my dad as well. So anyway, it is great to have you, my friend. And I'm wondering if you loved this finale as much as I did.
Are we just going to jump into it? Is that what we're doing?
Jump right into it.
Okay. Do you want non-spoiler or spoiler?
We're going spoiler. People know I put it in the the headline. The thing we're talking spoilers here.
Okay.
What we will do is, people always break my chops now about the time codes. It ain't easy. All the stuff I'm doing.
My God.
It's
oh my God.
It's
Kristian.
tough. Yeah.
I know. I'm with you. We talk about so many things on our shows. Time codes can be so the last thing you want to do after our 2-hour show or an hour show is to go. It's so exhausting.
The problem is I just don't have the time. So what I do is there's a really great viewer who does it and puts it in the comments. I cut and paste it and I put it in the freaking description once he's done with it, because I just don't have the time. I'm like, I try so hard to like, the second I'm done, the first thing I got to do is take this footage and put it up on Spotify, because God forbid if I forget it on Spotify, the Spotify listeners let me have it. So I do that. I'm making sure that everything is set, and then I'm jumping into other channels and doing other things. I got to go into the city tonight to go watch Nosferatu. So I just don't have enough time. I just don't have enough time. But we will make sure that people know that this is going to be a full-on heavy discussion. So if you want to put your questions in there, John and Steph annihilated last week. John came onto the show on Thursday and they did 202 questions. Now, John, I know John is starting off the week again. He's already started with 8 thus far getting into the show. So, all right, John, let's get into this conversation, my friend. And that, of course, is the Penguin. And the first, we'll just start with this story that is out. And that, of course, is that the Penguin is set for the next 2 Batman films. With HBO's The Penguin having just wrapped its first season, Colin Farrell has made it clear that this won't be the last we'll see of the Oz Cobb character. When the show's launch press was underway, he detailed the grueling makeup he had to go through the character before adding, "I never want to put on that effing suit and that effing head again." However, the series launched and scored critical acclaim with fan praise, awards buzz, and strong ratings that have grown as the season progresses. We do know that Farrell is expected back for the Batman Part 2, but it turns out that the actor has signed up for the whole trilogy. He tells the reporter that he's keen to see how the story of the TV series will impact his character in the films going forward. "I signed up for 3 Batman films, but I didn't know if I'd be in the second film. What I'm most excited / nervous about in the second film is not what Oz does or what predicaments he finds himself or what moments of success he gets to experience, but what his voice is. How's his personality? It was forming and changing in the limited series, and by the end of the 8 episodes, it is I can't even see that word. It concreted into I can't even see the word. I'm sorry. Into something else. There is a degree of almost delusion, psychopath. I can't see anything. I can't see anything. This freaking screen.
Why is it out of focus? What's that?
I don't know why it's out of focus, but
okay.
So
well, we get the gist of it.
Anyway, so how long is this? How is that taken up in the second film? I was told I'd have 5 or 6 scenes. I don't have any hopes or expectations. I'm really an open book, and that's the way I get. And that's the way I get excited by. I don't know why this thing's out of focus. I apologize, but the point is this. The point is that he's going to be in those 2 movies, and look. If this series hadn't happened at all, I'd still be excited that he was going to be in 2 and 3.
Sure. Yeah, because he did such a good job in the Batman,
right?
And had great interactions with him and Robert Pattinson and Commissioner Gordon.
Yeah,
right,
but,
Jeffrey Wright.
But now, I'm like, I want him to be I want him to be the main villain in the second one, and he's what they did in this show. And again, I'm spoiling for people. They did this so well because I'm watching this episode, and I feel like this is the majority of people. You're watching the back and forth, the cat and mouse that him and Sophia have together, and it's just brilliance between Colin Farrell and Kristen Milioti of what they did, and you get to a point where it's like the same thing with Walt from Breaking Bad. You know he's a bad dude, but you're rooting for him. And I'm rooting for Oz. And then when Vic pulls that move and gets a triad involved, and they kind of changed it up, and I that threw me off because I was like, oh, the old man's going to be in on it, and he wasn't in on it. It was the younger generation that looked. It was great. The fact that he's like, listen, you're looking down on these people, and they're all the ones that want to rise up, and he that's ultimately what Oz was, right? Yeah. So that happens, and I'm like, all right, they did it. I'm on board. I'm loving what he's doing here. And then they made you fall in love with Vic. They just made you fall in love with what he's done, what he's doing, the thing that how loyal he is to Oz. And then when they're sitting on that thing, I don't know if you did a reaction to it, but I did a reaction to it. Yeah. And I'm sitting there and I'm going, and he's like, oh, I'm family. And he's like, I can't have you coming with me this time or whatever. Everybody else was like, oh, he's dead. I'm going, what do you mean? What are you gonna do? You let him go? And then he grabs his neck, and I'm like, and on the thing, I'm like, you fucker! I was so mad, and I hated it so much, but it was the right move because I hated him so much, and you do not like him now. You absolutely every bit of goodwill that was given that you're like, oh, I like him. I'm rooting for him to win. You're like, Pattinson, get in here and snap this dude's neck. So I don't know. How did you feel about the overall episode?
Oh, I love the episode. I thought it was a great finale because I know a lot of people coming out of the last episode were a little nervous. I think maybe even when you touched on it last week when we talked about it, like, are they going to land the plane? Because that was like, we're going back in time. Why are we doing a flashback episode? Vic is barely in this episode. What's going on here? But it was all laying the groundwork for the greatness that we were going to get in this episode, which was the longest episode of the season. That's the way it should be. Finale should be longer than all the other episodes. You can wrap everything up in a good way. And we had some fantastic interactions, great writing here from Lauren LaFranca, who's the showrunner. Really did a great job here. The director, Jennifer, I forget her last name, but she did a fantastic job directing this episode as well, getting us into the emotions of what was going on with these characters and going through that journey. And look, remember, they're all criminals. So yeah, we're cheering for Penguin, but he's just like the criminal we know because of how we've been told and seen the story. So we cheer for him over the other criminals, but they're all criminals. And it was very believable that Sophia was a step or two behind because as badass as people want to make her be, she's very new at this. Yeah. Penguin is smarter than her. Penguin has come up from the ground up. He is more wily than she is. So it made sense that he'd get the jump on her in 2 separate moments in this episode. And it was a fate worse than death going back to Arkham for her. She probably would have preferred to be killed rather than head back to Arkham. But the stuff with Vic is it's going to be controversial. We're going to battle about it on the Geek Buddies this week for sure. Tomorrow, I think we're going to do our spoiler review because I've been saying that he's going to turn good because he's always been a good kid. He's just a kid who was lost, taken in after his family was killed, and he got in with a bad mentor like Penguin, but he learned some things in order to survive, and he was finding his voice and figuring things out, but he didn't do anything villainous throughout the whole series, right? He killed a couple of guys, but they're criminals, so it's not quite the same thing. He's not killing innocent people. He's not shaking down people like Rex did in the last episode or wanting to kill Penguin as a young kid like Rex was going to do. He had a good heart. And at the end, Penguin kills him because he says, I can't have a family tie. I knew as soon as he said your family, I was like, oh fuck, Penguin always kills his family, and sure enough, he killed him.
Yeah, he just
I
couldn't
have my own theories if he's actually dead, but he killed him.
Well, we'll talk about that in a second. He's dead as a doornail. But there's a but I think that the whole point is you're right. Like he was family, and he realized that that's what Sophia and Maroni used against him by taking his mom. And he's like, I can't, because they say at one point, they're like, okay, here is the guy who is able to he doesn't have any ties. What are we going to do? What are we going to use? And then you find his mom, and they use that. And once he went through all that, he didn't want to do it again. And he's like, no, I can't. And I got to kill Vic because I don't want any more emotional attachments. I don't want any more family. I don't want anything holding me back. And, he's sitting there and he's going through all this stuff and telling me the guy is a good guy and telling him all these different things. But he's like, the whole point for him is like, now I have nothing. I have absolutely nothing that people can use against me anymore to do this. And then you get to that scene where he's got the top hat and all that. He's perfect. The mama issue stuff he's got going on at the end. And then the second they pull back, I was screaming, I'm going, throw the sign up, throw it up. And then the Batman sign goes up, and it was pretty beautiful.
Yeah, I thought that was cool too. But I mean, his mom is still alive. So I have to push back on your notion. And I saw other people, you're not the only one who said that. His mom is still alive. So his mom can still be used by someone else, another criminal who wants to fuck with him. So I don't think he got rid of his family. I think he saw Victor as a good man. Victor could maybe turn him back from what he needs to do. And he knows he needs to be ruthless and a full-on evil criminal in order to succeed, to be top of the pile in Gotham. Victor is too good. He even says as he's choking him out, you're a good man, Victor. You're a good man. It's because he knows that Victor has a good heart and a good compass, and he would make him question. And so I'm not saying he didn't kill him also because of the family stuff, but I think also because he knows that Vic is a good person that would eventually convince him not to do certain things he needs to do in critical moments.
Well, I don't think I agree and disagree with that. I think if this is a guy who took his two brothers out. This is a guy for more attention with his mother. This is a guy who is all about himself overall and knows he's got to do the things he's got to do. I don't think he ever had. There was nothing inside of this season that I ever felt, well, Oz might actually be a good guy and do the right thing here. And I don't think no matter who the good person is around him, I think that he understands that the person is that Vic was good, and I think that he knows his mom's. She's alive, but not really. I mean, he even said there's a vegetable. He's aware of that. He's got nothing. Even if she's killed, he's like, she's been gone. So he's not. Right. It's the attachment thing. To me, I think it's more so the attachment. He doesn't have anything now. He's got absolutely nothing.
Yeah. And that might be true because we saw him earlier in the season. He has that moment after Vic has killed Squid. He has that moment with him. He's like, it gets easier. It gets easier. He does all of that to comfort Vic's loss of his family. Even when Vic gets hit by the crowbar and Francis is taken, he doesn't get mad at Vic or beat up Vic, or he says to him, don't worry about your guilt, go get me an army, fuck your guilt, go get me an army. So those are caring moments. So I think he does have a semblance of good in him, Penguin does, in terms of with the relationship to Victor, and I think that's a dangerous thing for him, and that's why
I think he cares about him. I don't know if good. I don't know if good is the word. I think he cares. I think he cared about him. I think that, and that was more so where the attachment came in, where it's like he just knew that he doesn't want to be in a position again where here's this guy who he cares for him. He knows that he's going to be, he's got an emotional attachment to him, and he doesn't need that again. And now it's just, he basically cut his own heart out is what he just did. And he's a soulless creature just walking around, and he's the king right now. And you absolutely hate him for it.
Well, it's like what happened at the end of Agatha, right? They had to remind you that Agatha is a villain. She is a villain. And at the end of Agatha all along, although we like her going with Billy there, she still did some villainous stuff at the end there that reminded you she is inherently a villain. And so is Penguin. And he had to do this in order to establish himself as a villain. But again, I think Victor might not actually be dead. There's no reason for him to take the money out and throw the ID. There's symbolism in that. When you've watched enough shows, you know that this could be symbolism of him washing away his identity by throwing away the driver's license. Yes, you could also say, that's so they don't know who the body is and connect them to Penguin and what have you. But It's to me, I said this in my reaction last night, which will be out later this afternoon, that I think he could be Jason Todd. He could be the Red Hood. And the reason is because he got hit by the crowbar, like Jason Todd beat him. The Joker killed him with the crowbar in Death in the Family. But it was Penguin who chokes him out, so it's still a villain. He was hit by the crowbar by Sophia. So there's little things. And throwing away his ID is essentially washing away his old identity so he can be someone new. And the Lazarus Pit, Ra's al Ghul, it becomes back through that. And I know a lot of people said, well, Matt Reeves, he's grounded. He doesn't do those fantastical things. You know, at some point, it's Batman. You're going to have to veer into the fantastical. I trust Matt Reeves if he goes this route, and Lauren LaFranc if she goes this route, to find a way to make that work in a more grounded way and bring him back from the dead. So Red Hood, which would make sense.
You have a better shot of Martin Sheen running for president tomorrow and winning than you do Renzi Felice coming back as Robin.
People said the same thing about me saying Luke was going to show up at the end of the Mandalorian season 2, and he did. So,
well, I wouldn't argue on that. That to me made the most sense. This doesn't, because this is why there's two things that they do, and we're going to be talking about Lucasfilm in just a second. This is where I compare everything of what right now what DC did well with this show and what Lucasfilm does terribly, right? So one of the things that Lucasfilm does really bad is, hey, here's a villain, but they're not really bad. Like, here's a villain. Let me guess. Reeve is going to turn good. Let me guess. That person's going to turn good. Let me guess. That person's... Because they never keep anybody bad. They didn't do that with the Penguin. The Penguin is out there, and you're like, this guy, oh, man, I kind of like this guy. I hate this guy. And what they did, right, with that particular thing. The other thing that they do well is they keep people dead. And Marvel and Star Wars are just like, no, Marvel's the worst at it. Everybody's alive. Yeah, nobody really dies. There's a multiverse. There's infinite amount of people, so they can come back at any time. And it diminishes the effect of it. And I think that if he pops back up, I think it diminishes this show. And I love Renzi Felice. I got a chance to talk to him. You know that. Like, the kid it reminded me like when I first spoke to Sholo Medellin back at Collider, and like that kid just has his head on his shoulders. Same with this guy. But I don't want to see him back. I think it hurts if they do that. So I think there's no shot in hell that it happens.
Well, don't you think? Well, first of all, it's going to be James Gunn who makes the decision, right? Ultimately, if he comes back or not. I mean, Matt Reeves has his fiefdom, but it's in James Gunn's kingdom, so he'll decide. But I think it does work if you bring him back, because who's the one person who worked for Penguin, who knows Penguin, who could mess with him emotionally in a situation if he was to reveal himself again? It would be a Victor, and Victor as a new person, as the Red Hood, and the Red Hood fights villains and heroes at the same time. He fights villains, and he also fights the hypocrisy within some of the stuff that's going on the supposedly good side. So the fact that he could walk that line would make sense for me with Victor. So if there's a way that makes sense for them to do it, I think it would still work, because bringing him back to confront the Penguin, that would be something that would shock Oswald. And right now, as you said so well, Kristian, Oswald coming out of this series is not the Oswald we see in the Batman.
Right.
This is a much more seasoned, a much more formidable foe for the Batman. He got the best of him in the Batman. In the Batman Part 2, it might be Oz who gets the best of the Batman there. So I love that. You come out looking at him like, oh, this is a guy that you clearly cannot fuck with anymore.
That's why I think it just, I just think it diminishes it if you bring him back, because it's also, the other reason it would diminish it to me is because he's choking this guy out. He takes the license, throws it into the water, and what's he just do with the body? He just leaves the body and goes, let me check his pulse. Nah, I'm not gonna check his pulse. I'm gonna leave him alone. It's like, no, he probably chopped him up and put him in the ground somewhere. It's like, we
don't know, right?
We don't necessarily know, but it would really diminish him if he was so calculated in everything that he did, and then it's like, but the guy that I killed, I'm just gonna choke him out, not check his pulse, and just leave him there, and maybe he's all right. And then he I'm Jason Todd now. And it's like, I don't know. I like a lot of your theories, but this one, I'm not buying it. I'm I'm sorry.
Well, he'd be Red Hood. He wouldn't necessarily have to be Jason Todd.
Yeah, but I think if he would have survived, then I think you had an argument.
No, because Jason Todd dies and comes back from the dead to become Red Hood. So he has to die in order to become Red Hood.
Yeah, but the other problem is this. It's like, yes, there are a lot of people who watch this show. It was a very popular show. But the problem is when you're as we've seen with movies, with Marvel and TV, if you're relying on people that they had to have watched your show in order to know what's going on. Like if he just shows up as Red Hood in a movie and people who didn't watch The Penguin, well, who the hell's that?
Well,
because
my opinion, fuck them. Watch the show.
Well, I know, but it's not everybody can do that, right? And I think that
you're right.
Because I think you should watch this show, and I think that when you see the Batman 2, the Penguin is that much more devastating. But I don't think that it relies on you watching the show. I don't think you have to, because he's already been in the Batman Part 1. So if you're going to see the Batman Part 2 and you didn't see Penguin, you're going, oh, okay, there he's back again. And then someone goes, you better watch how he got to this position of power, because it is devastating how he did it. So, yeah, man, I'm pretty pumped. I'm pretty pumped for the future of this and him coming back. And we didn't really discuss that, but him coming back makes a lot of sense.
Oh yeah, 100%. I mean, I think that's part of the reason why Colin walked in to do the series. I mean, first of all, it was incredibly well written.
Yes.
And he got some great moments to shine, especially in the finale with that interaction with him and his mom as she's in her vegetative state. Like the breakdown, that's the Emmy right there if he wins it. That's the Emmy scene. But like there was so much going on that you bring about his incredible talent through the prosthetics. And so for me, that's why you bring him back to do all these things. And now that's the bar, by the way. So with all these actors coming in to play villains in the Batman universe, Colin Farrell's the Penguin is the bar. So you've got to kind of beat that if you really want to be memorable in what you take on. Looking at you, Barry Keoghan, and other people. So yeah.
What did you think about that story? We covered it on Friday, but that Barry Keoghan might get the Joker series.
Yeah, Jeff and I talked about it on the hot mic because James Gunn put the kibosh on it later in the day.
Oh, he did.
Jeff pushed back on it.
Okay.
It was like, oh, we know James Gunn has said one thing and done another, changed his mind already about how he's doing this whole process. So, you kind of, I look at the situation. I think it'd be fun to see a series with the Joker. I don't know how that would work because he's an unreliable narrator. And would you really be invested? I said that maybe the best way through is like with the Brian Azzarello Joker series, where we're seeing it through the eyes of a guy who becomes a henchman in his crew. So we're seeing the Joker through his eyes through the whole series. I think that could work, be interesting. Or the Joker is in the series with Catwoman, because that's something I'd heard months ago, that the Catwoman series was being developed with Zoe Kravitz. So when that letter was sent to Kristen at the end of the thing, I was like, oh, this might be leading into that series. So we'll see.
And the other thing that it could be leading into is very well could be that, and I wouldn't be surprised if they did that. But the other thing that it could lead into is getting a Kristen Milioti appearance in the Batman 2, which I think would
100%. That should happen.
Which would be very beneficial to everyone involved, because she was a standout. I mean, she was so good in that show. And I thought at first, that he was going to, pop her. I was like, that's it. She's toast. And then when it made all the sense in the world when he was talking to Billy Walsh about getting her, about him getting his accolades, everybody else, and that's how he ascended to the top. And then you get the police chief. Oh, now I finally get to take you out. It's like that guy. I love that guy. That guy is so
arrest.
All right, you did your thing, Sophia, but now you're done. But like that whole thing was great, and the way that they played that, and then even the thing that happened with Clancy Brown and the way that all went down. That was such a Breaking Bad type moment. It was something that would happen to Walt. It was like in the middle of this thing, it looks like he's getting taken out, and then the guy drops dead of a heart attack, and and then he's just shooting him on the floor. It was but we didn't even start about that opening scene, dude, with his mom, where he's when the finger's gonna get off. She's like, "You're gonna cut my finger off, you prick," right? And then she's like, "I know that you did it," and then just brutally just tearing into him, finally getting it off her chest about everything, and how smart they were with the way that they did that. They start with the young actress playing the mom in the mirror, but then showing her in that scenario. It was so well done. It was just so well done.
There's a brilliance to it. I agree with
Yes.
you, Kristian. Such a brilliance to it. And this also adds to the tragedy that is the undercurrent of the character, right? Look, what is the one thing he lies to himself about? And he does lie to himself. People trying to find the good in this guy. He lies to himself that he did everything for his mom. He did everything for himself. He killed his brothers for himself so that his mom would be beholden to him. And look, that conversation, when we see the flashback, he is talking to his mom like a boyfriend, like a suitor. It is super unsettling. It's edible as shit. And so when she breaks down and tells him, I know all about it, and I've hated you since day one. I've hated you every single day. So when you go back and watch the scenes with them earlier in the series rather, her being so supportive of him is like maybe in a way her wanting him to put himself in situations of danger so he gets killed. And so it's not from a place of love and support. It's from a place of anger and hatred towards him. So when she breaks and stabs him with that bottle, which is all the anger and pain for years that she's held on to because of the loss of her sons, and seeing them there and has the stroke, once again, just like with Maroni, he is robbed of what he wants. Maroni has the heart attack, so he is kicking Penguin's ass. He does not get a chance to win.
Right.
It's something else. So he's like, no, I beat you. I beat you. No, you didn't. And now I can't show my mom my success. She won't be able to tell me I'm great, And so these little things that are great for a character. He's a villain. He shouldn't get what he wants. He's a villain.
There's so much depth to it. It was just so well layered, and like everything about that. And I also got to give so much props to the kid who played young Oz. He was phenomenal. And not only was he so good in getting like the mannerisms down, the waddle, like all that stuff, to where it didn't look like he was just doing an impression. It looked like he transformed into what Colin Farrell really was doing there. Even like because each Gotham accent is like different, but Oz's family has a very specific where they go the whole world and things. It's like very old-timey 1930s type of gangster talk.
Yeah.
But it wasn't like just Colin Farrell was doing that. That's the way his mom talked. That's the way his brothers talked. And that's the way this young kid portraying him talked. And like in certain ways, like somebody in Staten Island has a way thicker accent than someone in Long Island. And it's like, or not like in like, wherever, whether it's different parts of the island, different parts of Queens, there's different things. So the fact that they did that was really, really great. And I thought that kid did a great job. I really did.
Ryder Allen.
Is that his name?
Ryder Allen. Such a good job.
He was fantastic, that kid.
Yeah. I mean, asking a kid to do a scene like that with an older woman and bring in the layers of like, because he's essentially saying, I want to be your boyfriend for the rest of your life. You're the love of my life, saying all these things.
Yeah.
Like having him play those levels, that takes a lot of talent for a young kid to really play those like multiple levels at the same time of what he's doing. And I thought, I agree with you. I thought it was fantastic. And Deidre as well, who I think people aren't talking enough about her as a supporting actress nomination or whatever.
She had to do like it's funny because you think when you first, I think you just said it very well, because when you first introduced her, you're like, oh, this is the Livia Soprano.
Right. Yes.
And she's not. She isn't. She breaks his balls and everything too. And she's like, oh, that he's just really trying to live up to her. And she's just, but you find out why. Like Tony never killed Janice. You know what I mean? Tony never killed like this guy like wiped out his two brothers so he could be closer to his mother, and she knew it and lived with it. So of course there was a lot of pain inside there the whole entire time. So when you go back and you just kind of think about the scenes again, I'm sure like a rewatch when you're checking it out, it makes so much more sense. But just a great job overall. So those are our thoughts for the spoiler discussion on the Penguin. I'm sure there's more with the super chats that we'll discuss later on. Once we get to basically the way it works is we go through all the main topics, and then at the end of all the main topics, we get to your questions. We already have like 30 plus already in there, so thank you guys. All right, we're going to move on to some other stories. We are going to get to something that John and I both kind of discussed with that Star Wars story that hit. But before I do, I got to tell you guys about Rocket Money. Now, I've been telling you guys about Rocket Money forever. Now, if you didn't already know that there's so many different times you sign up to these apps, and then after the free month, then it's like you forget about it and you're getting charged $12.99, $15.99. Where the hell did that come from? And nobody can remember all the subscriptions that you have. I can't name all mine. And I'm not alone. So 74% of people have subscriptions that they've forgotten about. Now, Rocket Money lets you know about it. I don't have to remember every subscription because they let me know. Managing finances, it can be very complicated. It's very time consuming, but it doesn't have to be. Rocket Money simplifies everything. It makes it so easy to see exactly what's happening with your finances, tracks your spending, and gives you free control of all of it right from your phone. I use it religiously. I get notifications from all the time. It has helped me so much with savings. It has helped me just know what I have going on in my life, and it just gives so many different notifications. It's great. It's a personal finance app. It helps find, cancel unwanted subscriptions. It monitors your spending. It helps lower your bills so you can grow your savings. Rocket Money has over 5 million users, and it has saved a total of 500 million in canceled subscriptions, saving members up to $740 a year when using all the app's features. So stop wasting money on things you don't use. Cancel your unwanted subscriptions. Go to rocketmoney.com/thing. That is rocketmoney.com/thing.
You know, the spooky season, it's here. And there's no reason that your bathroom routine should give you the chills. If you're haunted by nagging sensation that you're not clean after you wipe, it is time to make the switch to Hello Tushy. I've been using Tushy for a long time, and I have 2 of them in my house, and I really love them. I'm so excited to tell you guys more about them. Hello Tushy is the modern bidet attachment that uses a stream of fresh water for a complete and soothing clean. The Tushy bidet attaches to your existing toilet without the need for additional plumbing or electricity. Installation, simple. Takes less time than it does for you to go to the bathroom, just under 10 minutes. Toilet paper only smears your poop around, but with the Tushy bidet's nozzle adjuster, you get a precise clean every time. And every Hello Tushy bidet comes with a 30-day hassle-free return and a 12-month warranty. Get one of these, especially for Halloween. Get one. Clean your butts. You guys will be thanking me, I promise you. Ditch the toilet paper. Finally feel shower fresh with Hello Tushy for a limited time. Our listeners get 10% off their first bidet order when you use that code BIGTHING at checkout. That's 10% off your first bidet order at hellotushy.com with that promo code BIGTHING.
All right. Thank you to our friends over at Rocket Money and, of course, Hello Tushy. You see, if you've been watching this show long enough, you see me talking about them all the time. Why? Because you guys have been getting them, and because they keep coming back, because you all love them, and I love them. So make sure, links in the description, go and make sure you check it out. All right, John, last week, dude, we talked about this Star Wars story. And now there's more things that are coming out about it. And one of these, this is from Comic Book Movies, Star Wars Simon Kinberg, reportedly seen as a safe choice, to develop new trilogy despite past flops. So a new report details the thinking behind Simon Kinerg being hired to take charge of a new Star Wars trilogy, including why Lucasfilm thinks he's a good fit and exactly how far along these movies are. Why does he think he's a good fit? Because they have 6 people on their Rolodex. Last week, we learned that Lucasfilm and Kathleen Kennedy have turned to Simon Kinberg to write and produce a new Star Wars trilogy. There have been conflicting reports about whether these movies will serve as 10, 11, and 12 in the Skywalker saga. However, most outlets have confirmed they won't be a continuation of that story. According to a new piece from Variety, the news came to a surprise to executives at Lucasfilm and Disney, but is considered internally to be in deep development and not nearly ready to be made public. In other words, this could be another announced Star Wars project that fails to ever come to fruition. The trade acknowledges that many in the industry were shocked by Kinberg's hiring, particularly as his track record as a writer is spotty at best. Fantastic Four, Last Stand, and his original sci-fi movie, The 355, rank among his worst efforts. Despite that, his history working on franchises means Kinberg is seen on one level as a sensible and safe choice. Love or hate them, the movies he's written have grossed over $3 billion worldwide, and he's produced some hits beyond X-Men. He's said to understand how to talk to film executives about franchise filmmaking in a way that it allies their concerns about creative decisions affecting the costly bottom line for these kinds of projects. John, remember that. That's the line right there. But that's the line right there. That is the line of the topic of our conversation.
Say it one more time, just so the people in the back can hear that line again.
He is said to understand how to talk to film executives about franchise filmmaking in a way that allies their concerns about creative decisions affecting the costly bottom line for these kinds of projects. The trade runs down Kinberg's many critical and commercial failures, but revels his hiring. In part is due to Kinberg's continuing creative relationship with Lucasfilm, as John said, Dave Filoni, and Carrie Beck. They worked with him on Star Wars Rebels, and Kennedy has made several attempts to bring the veteran producer back into the fold. First, as part of a brain trust with Michael Arndt and Lawrence Kasdan, there you go, to come up with ideas for the sequels, and later to work on the scrap Boba Fett movie with Josh Trank, and a couple years later, James Mangold. Finally, it said Kinberg's efforts aren't meant to create a new saga, but as the case with virtually all script development, specific plot details and characters are light years away from taking their final shape, let alone arrive in theaters. And then talk about everybody who's canceled. All right. So let me tell you this.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm going to start with defending them.
Oh, okay.
Everybody was, and I think that it was me, you, and Steph that were talking about it when the nose broke. The news. Somebody's nose is broke. But when the news broke, and I said to you, because Steph was like, I don't know why they would announce this, and I said they didn't. They didn't announce it. Right. I think this stamps. They didn't want this to come out. I think that they did not want it to come out. I know that you have a different opinion on it, but I really don't. I think that they were like, why are we people announcing this? We don't know if it's going to happen or not. So that is where it's like, okay, things are in development all of the time. So, people can come in and have a great meeting with someone. And if the type of shit, like I remember there was meetings that Tyler Perry had with Joel Silver, and nothing ever came to be with it. Right. But they were talking about working on something or whatever movie it was and whatever. And if it was today, if somebody saw the meeting and someone go like, Tyler Perry's doing something with Joel Silver, he's going to be in the next Matrix movie, and it pops up. And it just didn't, or he was going to write a new movie or whatever it's going to be, and people then talk about it because if it's in development, right? So that stuff happens. It's when they announce stuff and then it doesn't happen that when it falls apart, you give them more shit on it. The problem is that line that we read twice. Yeah. This is them going, well, what do we do? I don't know. Call Simon. He knows that we got to go back to the way that we're thinking in the late 90s or early 2000s. We just need somebody who can make a movie because we need to make money because Bob's breathing down our neck. Is he creative? It doesn't matter. He knows how to manage the budgets. He knows how to manage things. Quick, panic. And it's like, that's all that this is. There's nothing there except, well, he cares. Does he care about Star Wars? He does. Does he like Star Wars? He does. He's a Star Wars fan. But he's not the right choice, and he's an unsafe choice. He's unsafe as far as creatively, but as they nailed it, safe because they know that he can get the job done and produce the movie.
You and I, because we're sports guys, I can't help, and sometimes you can't help putting this in a sports context. And this is very much like a storied franchise hiring a safe coach, just to steady the ship for a little bit. And that's basically what this is. This is like when the old Redskins hired Marty Schottenheimer. It was a nice choice to keep us out of the Spurrier situation. We had to have a guy who kind of leveled things out before we moved on from, or before the Spurrier situation. The guy level out after Norv Turner and that. So you see that all the time. And that's what this is. They know that they have been all over the place, sporadic. The responses have been so strong, extreme, one way or the other. They've got to bring someone in their minds who knows how to traverse these waters a little more solidly and will get us back into a better place. That's what they think.
Right.
But they're also opening the door to some very boring choices, some very boring things to come out.
Yep.
And that in the end will bite them in the ass more than taking a chance. I think only honestly, and I know this is controversial, I don't give a shit. Lawrence Kasdan should be nowhere near this.
I think that's old though. I think they were just saying in that article. No
one over 40 should be involved in this anymore. That's my opinion. No one over 40 should be, and I know I'm over 40, so don't come look at me. Don't give me a job.
I wouldn't agree with that. I wouldn't agree with that.
I want young people involved in this. Young people who understand what people want in the Star Wars universe. Younger people want the Star Wars universe. This is who are going to keep watching your stuff for decades forward. You've got to go and get. I mean, George Lucas wasn't 80 or 60 or 70 making Star Wars. He was a young man. Yeah. We need young people back in the fold to understand what young people want to see, younger people want to see, and make Star Wars from there. That's what I think.
So I don't disagree with the sentiment that there should also be a lot of young voices. I don't think cutting people off at 40 is the way to go. I think that there's a lot of people that 40, 50 that can do it and really have some creative juice to it. But I do agree that you should have those young voices there also. But
remember, I'm not saying you can't hire directors over.
I know you're saying. I know, the creative. I know, but creative executives do also need. And this one, I always said that. And this is every time I said that I'm going to say this every time we have a Star Wars story. That if new viewers, people are sick of me saying it. I understand it, but I'm going to say it anyway. Okay. That you keep the video game people, you keep the animation people, you keep everybody that's doing stuff in the comics. You keep them where they are. They're doing a good job. You gotta gut the TV and film department because of decisions like this. Because it's the same stuff that's going to keep happening. Well, Filoni's friends with him, so sign him up. Filoni is not the guy. Filoni should be pushed back to animation. He's not the guy. And he is right now, and he's not making any choices that are good for Star Wars. And I think that this is why they continue to make decisions like this, because they go, well, we know Simon can put together a thing, and then Dave will also say, well, I've got my ideas. I talked and he's going to have even more power then with this new trilogy, because he's going to be talking to Kinberg about this stuff. And then it's going to be all, horrible writing throughout the whole damn thing. I mean, some of the writing in Ahsoka, you want to take your head and slam it through the wall. Yeah. Awful. So I think that this is just you gotta gut it. It's and why in the world are they making decisions like this while they still haven't? They have one movie that they've announced, one movie, and apparently they showed footage of it. I don't know. Did you hear anything about it? The Brazil thing?
I've not heard anything about that. No,
because they showed it. They showed it some stuff in Brazil.
In D23. Okay,
is that what it was? It was a D23 Brazil.
Yeah, D23 Brazil was over the weekend.
That's what it was. Okay. Well, they showed. I mean, that's when all that stuff came out, I guess, with Captain America and all that stuff. So they showed something. I don't know if it leaked. I don't know if anybody has seen it, but I don't know if there's any word about what they showed. I have no idea. But it's the only thing. We don't even know what's coming out in December of 2026. I don't think they do.
Right.
So
the fact that they said this one is not even anywhere near close to being done, I think now, hearing that or reading that report and hearing that, you're probably right that they didn't want this to leak. They probably wanted to announce it themselves at D23. Remember, Jeff broke the story that there would be 3 new Star Wars films days before they announced it at Comic-Con or the D23 that was going on there. And, Star Wars fans got super mad and claimed that Jeff was crazy. And then they announced 3 new Star Wars movies, and so these are these things you see. And Jeff checks with the studio before he does these things. I don't know what Fleming did. I don't know if he knew or got permission or was okayed by the studio, because I wonder if the studio let him do this to run it up the flagpole to see what the reaction is, to see if they want to stay with Kinberg or not, and see if this got people back excited. But remember, Kinberg and Filoni work together. So I think it goes back to your point here, man, is this idea that this is like hiring an offensive coordinator that you've known and worked with for a long time. Yeah. Like, this is going to protect me for a little bit. And that's what I feel like with this hire with Dave. If Dave was involved in this hire, which I probably think he was, because he's the creative guy,
of course,
this was a matter of like, let me get my people around me so I'm protected.
And Kathleen Kennedy's also trying to make the safe move, because she's trying to go with some wins. So she's like, I know Simon very well, and it's such a studio stupid thing they saw so many different times. Yeah. Let's get Simon in here. He knows where he's going to go. Simon has it's once again, why in the world is she still making these decisions? I just don't get it. And it's like, this is not something that's announced, as we said, to be fair to them. It's not announced, and it still has not been announced even after the report, but it's still, I don't know, man. But this is my point. It's old guard bringing in old guard to do old guard things. And that's and I'm not trying to be ageist. It's more a matter of, look, you want this brand to survive, you got to start appealing to the younger generations with the content. You got to bring people who are going to hit that sweet spot of 18 to 29 years old
and get people back in love with Star Wars. The old Star Wars fans, they're going to do what they're going to do, and they're going to eventually die off. You've got to keep this going. It's the reality of business. Listen, it's the reality of business.
Well, but it is. But it was my national pastime argument I gave you the other day. Which was where at one point, baseball was the national pastime, football, and it's like Star Wars was the big geeky IP. It was the one, and nobody could touch it. And then it's like miss after miss after miss after miss, and it's the third tier. And DC hasn't even launched their new movie yet, especially after the Penguin. It's certainly the third tier, and it's like, and the problem is I don't think they realize that they're the third tier.
Right.
I think that they still think they're on top, and it's like, no, you're really not. Your stuff is pretty terrible.
We can put it back together again where we want. That's the mentality, and that's a dangerous mentality to have.
Yeah. Okay. So let's now move. Someone just screamed the Penguin finale. I don't know what that means.
We talked about it already.
But is that what they can't be asking that because clearly they're into they can't be asking that. They can't not ask if we talked about it. That makes no sense. That someone would ask that 45 minutes into the show. All right, so let's get to this story because I haven't talked to you about this yet.
Okay.
Gladiator II.
Ooh.
So the score revealed as first reviews suggest that it falls short of the 2000s Gladiator, to which I respond, no shit, it was never going to. And I saw everybody's review of going, well, it does not able to be as good as the first one. It never was going to be.
Well, all right.
No, it never was going to be. We'll debate it. Okay. I hated that. Well, I was disappointed because it wasn't as good as the first one. Well, then you're an idiot for going into thinking it was going to be better than the first one. I'll talk about it. I enjoyed the movie, and I'll talk about it in a second.
Okay.
The review embargo for Gladiator 2 is lifted, and that means we have an all-important Rotten Tomatoes score for Ridley Scott's long-awaited sequel. It may fall short of 2000's Gladiator. As we first reported on actionnews.com, the first reviews are in for the sequel, and while they're largely positive, it appears that Gladiator 2 will struggle to live up to that beloved first installment. Released in 2000 and won 5 Oscars, including Best Picture and Best Actor. Excitement is still high for this follow-up, though, and it sounds like Gladiator 2 will be action-packed, enjoyable ride for fans, and even if it's unlikely to receive the same sort of awards attention. So I will say I agree with all of that. Variety's review suggests that the sequel's lead, Paul Mescal, struggles to escape the shadow of his predecessor. Unfair. Russell Crowe, unfair. So unfair. They don't give him the same to do. So unfair. The way Mescal plays him with an anger that never quite simmers to a boil, we now can't help but see him as a millennial knockoff of.
That's a little far.
Variety's ridiculous. Get your heads out of your asses. The Hollywood Reporter echoes a statement with Gladiator 2 might not have a protagonist with the scorching power of Crowe's Maximus. I'm getting tired of this. Because it's stupid. It's like because if you're going into that, look, the first thing that I said getting out of this movie was that it's a worthy successor to the first movie.
Yeah, you did say that.
That's my first point. It's a worthy successor. Is it an Oscar-winning movie like the first one? No, not even close. Not even close. Not even going to be in the conversation. Is it going to be a Best Picture nomination? No. And people, because the first one did that, everyone's standard is like, well, it's got to do that again. Why? Why can't it be, as long as it's telling the story and it's action-packed? I will say there's 2 CGI animals that are horrendous. That's what I will say.
The baboon.
Oh my God, the CGI. It's like, come on, we're in 2024 and the CGI looks like Scorpion King. But that being said, I liked what Paul Mescal was doing. I thought he had a lot of charisma. I thought he was able to bring. I didn't know who he was. I cared about him the whole way through, but I don't think that in any lack of the stuff comparing him to Maximus is fair, because I think that was the script, and the script isn't as powerful as the first movie. It isn't, but it's a big budgeted action film that is fun. It's an adventure. It is it's powerful, I thought. So I really enjoyed the movie. I did agree that I don't think it's an Oscar-nominated thing. Does it live up to the first movie? It doesn't live up to it in the way that it's like, it's not as good. No, it's not as good. But I thought it was a worthy successor. But you're wrong about this. Why?
No, I said in my review, and I feel personally attacked by Kristian, so I have to defend myself.
And Denzel was awesome, by the way.
Denzel was Denzel. It was like watching Tom Cruise be Tom Cruise.
It was Denzel in Gladiator at times, but you knew that he wasn't going to switch his accent up. I thought he was great.
I said that too. I said it's anachronistic as hell, and I still loved it. I still loved it. It was Training Day Denzel mixed in with little American Gangster Denzel, which I liked. So I think he's so much fun. But people like FYC, no disrespect to them, they were saying, he's because they hadn't seen the movie. They say he's a front runner for Best Supporting Actor. No way coming out of this movie do I think he should be nominated for that. So that's the situation there. But to me, I like the movie for what it was. Right?
Yeah.
If you're going in wanting to see a fun summer or I guess fall now action movie with Paul Mescal and Denzel and
Pedro Pascal.
Pedro, who's in and out at times fitting into the movie, Connie Nielsen, then you're going to have a good time because the action sequences are what sell you in the movie. And those stuff in the arena is great. And that final action sequence when they get the revenge is great. Well, the problem is, Kristian, and I think you're wrong on this, and I'll say this to you. Why would you do the fucking sequel if you're not going to match? Because you don't need a sequel to Gladiator. It's such a good movie.
But they continue the story.
If you're going to do the sequel, you better match it. Godfather Part 2 matched Godfather and went above it. The classic films get better sequels or don't fucking do it.
The question is it a worthy? The question is to me, is it a worthy sequel? And does the story still continue? The story continues, and I liked being back in that world. I liked the way that they did it. I thought that there was some stuff that the emperors were a little over the top at times.
They were ridiculous.
And but I liked being back there. I liked watching it. I liked seeing the fights and the way that they lined it up. I really dug it. I liked coming out of that. I think this is going to be a movie that is the snooty critics are going to have their heads up their assholes for this one. I think the fans are going to like this one. I really do. I think the fans are going to come out.
Going to like it too.
I think the fans are going to come out really enjoying this one. And I think that these, the variety of it, it doesn't really match up to Maximus. Blah, 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 blah. It's like, okay, you're going to your school and you're writing down your stuff because it's I can't take the printed critics anymore. I can't. They're just trying to be relevant.
I don't disagree with you that they can go too far sometimes and like salivate at cutting a movie up and what have you. But I also think that I think that review goes too far. There's no need to say they're cosplaying or they're pale imitation. But I think overall the reviews have been positive from these, although they're pointing out that it doesn't quite match up. They're still saying it's a good movie. They're still saying it's a fun time in the theater. So I think that's where the end result's going to be.
And I don't disagree with that. I don't disagree. I don't disagree with the fact that a lot of the stuff that they really said, I'm not really disagreeing with a lot of it. I really not. I'm not disagreeing with the fact that it's not the same Oscar type movie. The first movie is a beloved movie. I certainly push back on you that you shouldn't make a sequel if it has to be better than the first one. It's like
match it at least. I think
if it's look, do you and someone brought up, do you think Back to the Future 2 matches Back to the Future 1?
No, that's why I bash it.
Oh, okay, so you don't love it. Okay, well, Rocky 2. You think Rocky 2 is better than Rocky 1?
No, that's why I don't think it's I think it.
You don't bash Rocky 2. You don't bash Rocky 2.
I don't think it's a worthy successor to the first movie.
You don't.
And thank God 3 and 4 came along. Not that they're better than Rocky,
right? No, but they're still good, and but
they're still enjoyable. Do you know what I'm saying?
That's the point. That's the thing, is that this is an enjoyable sequel, and what I didn't want to do, I didn't want to go to a movie and going, because I never felt walking out, why'd they make that? And I never felt like, they just ruined what they did in the first one, or like that didn't feel like anything to do with the first one. It didn't feel like anything. I like the way that they even changed the composer, but they kept with the same Hans Zimmer themes. And they didn't try. They didn't just try to because they still. I hate when they do that. When we got a new composer, so we're not going to have any of the themes from the original. They used a lot of the themes from the original, and I love the way they played it into the first one. I'm going to be one of those people that enjoys this movie more than others. Maybe, I don't know. We'll see what happens when it comes to fans, when the fans see it. But I really like this movie a lot. I really did.
But this is the thing that Jeff and I battled about. Not battle, but we're on the same side on this battle of first reactions. And I wonder where your feeling is on this, Kristian, because some of these first reactions, Gladiator 2, people were losing their effing minds, these critics. Just as you say, some of these written critics go too far in their analysis and destruction of a movie. On the other side, some of these critics that get access to these movies early on, and they're handpicked by a studio to get this early access, they go way overboard. I mean, some of those movies are back. This is the best action thing you're ever going to see in 20. Like, it's, calm. We know you get the junket. Calm down. We know you have the junket. Calm it down. You don't have to go so far over the top in order to get yourself quoted on a promotional thing, or like, it's just so frustrating. We did 20 minutes on it last week talking about how these critics go too far, man.
I wouldn't even say, though, a lot of times, though, that it's necessarily critics at this point, because the studios have been very deliberate in
I'm only pointing out the critics that I read. I'm not talking about influencers.
Well, because that is who was really promoting this when it came out, and that's more so, I guess, I think, to me, maybe making my case that the fans are going to like this, because those are a lot of fans that went and saw it, and I think that that's what the studio wanted. They wanted people to kind of look at it, and at this point they wanted a lot of me's there, right? People who I was excited about. I would have been one of those people. I wouldn't say movies are back, and I wouldn't say it's as good. I saw somebody in and out of the theater reaction say it was way better than the first one. I said, you're out of your mind. I said, you're out of your mind. But it's his opinion. But I was like, I'll tell you, I didn't really love the first one, but man, this one was better than the first one. I said, you're a crazy person. But I enjoyed this movie. But I really enjoyed this movie. I would love to see it again. I thought Paul Mescal's a star. I can't believe
I loved Paul Mescal in the movie.
Paul Mescal was a star. I think he's an absolute star. I didn't know anything about him. I don't know what else has he been in.
Oh God, it was the Love and Bones, that zombie one, I think, from a few or whatever it was a few years ago.
Right.
He's been a lot, but it's all smaller stuff. It's all independent film stuff.
Main stage stuff, and I thought he carried it. I think it's irresponsible to say that he couldn't hold a candle to Russell Crowe. Russell Crowe had been in a few different things before Gladiator, right? Russell Crowe was able to come in and do, and Russell Crowe was Russell Crowe is hard to beat for anybody. In 2000s Russell Crowe, I mean, come on. Right. But this is a guy who was in nothing.
What you said is a good point. This is not a movie designed to highlight him like they highlighted Russell Crowe in the first movie, right? It's not a movie constructed to do that. Does it hit some of the same beats? Yes. Do you have a foreign guy who becomes his friend like Djimon Hounsou did for Russell in the? Yes. Do you have the connection to the stuff with Russell? Yes. I think this would have been served by not having any connection to the first movie, but still have maybe Connie Nielsen in it, or Derek Jacobi who comes back as the senator. So you're still in the world, but you're not necessarily connected to it. So maybe this Gladiator is inspired by the story of Maximus, and he hears the story of Maximus, and that inspires him to make him his kid, and then have this whole situation. Like, it just, to me, became a little too much in that way, and they didn't do enough to really flesh out and get these poignant exchanges with the characters that I think would have given the film much more depth at the end of the day. And I think you can judge it this way, Kristian, because Ridley Scott directed it. He came back to direct it. When you talk Rocky II, it was Stallone taking over for John G. Albertson.
Yeah, I know. But I just felt it like it to me, it delivered on like, ironically enough, are you not entertained? I was. Yeah. You know what I mean? I was do you go into this entertained? Because every criticism that I've seen so far is it's not as good as the first one. To me, that's not a criticism. To me, that's just like, I wanted it to be better than the first one because I love the first one so much, and I wanted to be better. So because of that, that's going to be my number one thing that I say. And it's like, yeah, but did you enjoy it? And most people, yourself included, had a good time watching it.
Yeah, no, I did. I did enjoy it for what it was. Once you adjust your expectations, you can just sit back and enjoy it. Yeah. And Jeff didn't like Mescal. I liked Mescal in the movie.
I liked him a lot. It was funny because Roxy told me, and I would tell this to Jeff. So I never know. Like, I love talking movies to Jeff. I love it when I saw him at screenings. I love it. I agree with him hardly ever. He hates everything mostly. There's most stuff he hates, and then a couple things he likes, but mostly he hates things. So I love hearing his opinions on it, but I don't really ever, when I hear Jeff Snyder hated something or someone else, I go, well, what hasn't he hated? It's when he likes something, I go, oh, really? Let me see. Because he hates everything. In the same way that I love hearing Bibbiani like actually critique something because he's so brilliant at how he does it. I never take notice I never go, oh, well, he didn't like it, I'm not going to go see it, because I usually like everything he doesn't. In the same way, there was other people. Roxy and I were going back and forth. She really liked it, and she told me Snyder was one of the people at her screening, and she gave me a list of names of the people who didn't like it. And I go, all of those people that didn't like it, I agree with none of their opinions. There's one I like all of them, but I usually feel like they're just, a little like the snooty, like look at my thoughts, and I got to tweet it out now just to show you that I'm a little more hip than the next guy. And it's like that kind of stuff. I can't do that anymore. I'm so glad. Although I did text you, I thought the New York press screenings were going to be different than LA screenings, like hearing the critics talk. Same freaking thing, just with accents. It's crazy. Like I've met some pretty cool ones. There's some pretty cool critics that I like, but I could close my eyes and you could literally just have somebody write it down, and you'd have to guess what screening you're at, and I don't think you'd be able to guess. Like some of these,
because the behavior's the same. Yeah,
same
well,
behavior.
At least you're not going to the some of the screenings I get down here, which are so frustrating, are with the regular fans that are not critics, and they don't have as much respect for the movies that critics do. I'm almost to the point where I'm only ever going to go to critic screenings, which sometimes will screw me because they're big movies that don't get critics only screenings down here in San Diego. But it's frustrating. Like I sat next to a couple I had to move in the Gladiator. I had to move about 30 minutes into another chair because the couple I was sitting next to in the press row, these two young fuckers were talking through the whole movie. This woman and her boyfriend, and homie had an icy or a Slurpee, and he kept shaking it.
No, you didn't say anything?
What am I going to say? I'm not going to
So
start.
I did say something, but I said something.
If I say something, it's going to go to a fight.
Right.
People love to fight,
so this is something that I did, and I was happy that this exchange happened. Right.
Okay.
This was not very loud, but there was an older gentleman who was sitting in front of me who was taking notes. Right.
Oh yeah.
But he had a big bright light while he was doing it.
Yes.
And it was driving me crazy because it was hitting me in the face. And I said, I got to say something. I'm not going to be a dick about it, but I got to say something because it's too distracting. So I very nicely, about 30 minutes into it, said, excuse me, sir, do you mind? You able to like lower the light a little bit? It's just hit me in the face. And he said, oh, I'm sorry. At the end of the screening, the guy couldn't have been a nicer person. He came up and he said, I'm so sorry about that. I wasn't really paying attention. I said, you don't need to apologize at all. I said the same thing. It's like sometimes you don't even realize it. And I was like, don't worry about it. It's all good. I know you got to take your notes. It's part of it. And plus he's an older guy. He's probably So I didn't mind that, but it's like, had he turned, but you never know. I thought I was like, this guy going to get, it's my job, jerk off. That's why. And I'm like, I'm ready to get into that exchange, but I didn't have to because the guy was like, oh, no problem. It's like a nice person.
Well, if they were radiating that energy, I would have approached them that way too as well, Kristian.
Right.
They were two young kids, like in their early 20s, who were like clearly in love with each other and were just talking through the whole film like they were in the fucking living room.
Yeah, it's bad.
And I knew if I leaned, plus they were, I didn't want to lean in and say anything because I knew that it was gonna cause a fucking battle. So I just moved to all the way back in the back of the theater. And so
if you can, that's probably the best option to do. I was at an IMAX screening and I didn't want to move anywhere because it was like it was hard enough for me to find the spot because you get there. Even when you get there early, those back seats are always gone first. Those are the best ones to get in IMAX. So, all right. So we have a lot of questions so far, John. We got 51.
Wow.
So what we're going to do before we get into this questions, I'm going to tell you guys about our good friends over at both AG1 and Hey Mando. Mando is back. Mando's back. And I smell wonderful today. I used them today. And it was so great because Mando's back on the show and they sent some new stuff and I had just run out of deodorant. I mean, it is so clean, so clean. And I love how wonderful Mando is. So I'll tell you about both Mando and of course our good friends over at AG1. So here you go. Hey, Mando, y'all been running around, working out, just walking. And you're like, oh, that stinks. No matter where it is, your pits, your nuts, you need Mando. I like Mando because it's smooth, baby. But I like when I'm in the shower and I'm using any of the Mando stuff, I'm like, oh, I smell wonderful. And I didn't know how it was going to work before I even knew about Mando. And then now that I do, I can't go back. I love it. Deodorant is wonderful. It is safe to use anywhere in your body. You can use it on your pits. You can use it on your nuts. You can use it on your thigh, no matter what, your belly button, your butt. There's a lot of different variety of fresh scents that you can do. Bourbon leather is the one. I talked to Winston about one. That's the one I think he uses too. 12 hours after the shower, the average man's Grundle odor level was 5 out of 10. With Mando, the average Grundle odor level is a 0. Mando starter pack is perfect for new customers. It comes with a solid stick deodorant, cream tube deodorant, 2 free products of your choice like mini body wash and deodorant wipes, and free shipping. As a special offer for our listeners, new customers will get $5 off a starter pack with our exclusive code.
Big Thing. That equates to over 40% off your starter pack code. You got to use that code Big Thing. Go to shopmando.com, shopmando.com. Smell fresher, stay drier, and boost your confidence from head to toe with Mando. Use that code Big Thing.
AG1, I'm always excited to talk about them because you're looking for a holiday gift, you got it. Now, the perfect present is the gift of health. AG1, it checks the box. I heard about AG1 when I started doing podcasting by myself. They had said, hey, check this out. I tried it out. I loved it. And they've been with me. If you've been listening to this show for 2 years, then you have been hearing about AG1. That's how long they've been with me. I ditched everything else that I was doing. I was never a vitamins person. And now I'm just AG1. It helps your gut health. I've got better sleep because of it. It has kept me healthy. So there is something great for me what I do, and I still have had this same zoo cup that I've been telling you about forever. I mix it up with water, 1 scoop, done. That's my day. So this holiday season, try AG1 for yourself or even gift it to someone special. It's the perfect time to focus on supporting your body with an easy and surprising delicious daily health drink. And that's why I've been partnered with AG1 for so long. Every week of November, AG1 is going to be running a special Black Friday offer for a free gift with your first subscription, in addition to the welcome kit with the vitamin D3 and K2. So make sure you check out drinkag1.com/bigthing to see what gift you can get this week. That's drinkag1.com/bigthing and start your holiday off on a healthier note while supplies last. All right, thank you to our friends over at, of course, AG1 and Mando. Hey, Mando. So I am very excited to have them on board, as I have for such a long time. And Mando's coming back because you guys have been checking them out. Links in the description. Go and get them today. All right, John, before we move on to these questions, we got a bunch of them. What's going on the Outlaw Nation?
Oh, yeah. Just dropped this morning my reaction to Mission Impossible, the new Mission Impossible 8 teaser
you like
trailer.
It?
I loved it.
Yeah,
I thought it was great. Yeah. I'm glad we're back in the world. Although I got a text from Mike Kalinowski at 6:30 this morning going, brother, I don't think I'm going to be able to survive this one because it might be the last Tom Cruise's Ethan Hunt movie. We will see. He knows we both are on the same page, feeling my pain about that possibility. So that was great stuff. So that's up there now. My Penguin reaction is going to be out a little bit later today in the afternoon. And then my Gladiator II review will be up tomorrow. Then we're hopefully going to get Jedi Way rolling this week. The Hot Mic, the Geek Buddy stuff happening. We're going to do our review tomorrow of the Penguin as well. So a lot happening there on the channel. YouTube.com/John Rocha says, come hang out with us, please.
I don't know how you do it. The Jedi Way still. It's like I don't know how you.
We had a big Simon Kinberg announcement. I think. I guess
you probably have that whole show be that, but I just don't know how people still can do it. It's like I don't know. Anyway, let's get to some of these questions. We've got a ton of them, and as we started with 55, you're starting off the week already, and then you did something so great last week. He crushed it on Monday. Roxy and Brett came back to beat him, and then he said, hold my beer, and he joined with Steph and shattered the record. So very, very impressive.
Nice try, Roxy and Brett.
They got close. They don't even know yet that they didn't win, by the way. I have to tell them. I forgot.
Let's call them now.
Let's call them right now and let them know. All right, so the first question here, and this is from our good buddy Hank Pym.
Hey,
I hate when the movies and shows take villains and say, well, they aren't that bad, or it's not their fault. The Penguin definitely didn't do that. He's diabolical. That is 100% correct, and that is what I loved about it. I loved that. That was so wonderful that they did that, and I thought that was one of the things that made it pretty special.
Yeah, 100% agreed. They understood the assignment to make him a villain, and they pulled the Tony Soprano playbook, didn't they, Kristian? They made you kind of cheer for him, kind of like him, but then they have to do something to remind you that he's a villain, like what he did to Janice when Janice was turning that corner, maybe going to climb out of the toxicity of being in that family, and he makes fun of her at the dinner table the whole time to break her, and then walks out. They always remind you that Tony was a villain. That was the great part of Sopranos, and I think the same thing happened here at the end.
Yeah. Ronetta W. Hey guys, thank you for your service, Rocha, and to all the military for your service and sacrifice. We're grateful for all you do to keep us safe. Thank you so much, Ronetta, which follows it up and says, that final episode of Penguin, that was chef's kiss. Oh my God, I was heartbroken. by the end. However, because we know how evil he is, I had this weird feeling, they wrapped this up pretty well. Well done. I thought, that was, we talked about it already, John, but I was watching, as I'm watching it, you can see my reaction to it. And I said, I go, oh, I hate him so much, but that's exactly why they did that. I was like, I hate him. I was like, you son, it was such a prick bastard move, but it was so good because you got to hate him.
Yeah.
You got to hate him. How badly do you want to see Robert Pattinson beat the piss out of this guy?
Yeah, totally. But you respect him too, because right after he did all that, it's immediately high class Penguin with the awesome new purple car, the new clothes, the umbrella stand, the hat.
He's the king.
He is high society now.
He's the king, and he's no longer the Maronis are out of the picture now. The Falcones are out of the picture now, and it's like it's so good and such a great way to pitch the landscape. It does make me wonder what James Gunn's Batman universe is going to be like now, because I'm so locked into this universe.
This occurred to me this morning.
Yeah.
It occurred to me this morning, Matt Reeves is doing so well. If Superman comes out and is middling or, God forbid, shits the bed,
I know.
What do you do at that point? Is there a jealousy that develops between James Gunn and Matt Reeves? Is there an anger that Matt Reeves is getting all the attention? Listen, don't get it wrong. Don't get it twisted, okay? Hollywood is full of egos. Do not pay attention to them smiling in interviews. They seem like your buddy and they're on social media. It's egos. And if Matt Reeves is doing better than James Gunn, and James Gunn is the overall guy in charge of things, that's going to cause friction,
I think yes and no. I think yes and no. I think because I think that if it was Todd Phillips, then I would say 100% yes, because they're not on the same page, and they're not even. Matt Reeves is very much on the same page with James Gunn, and they talk, and it's like, not just in interviews together, they're trying to develop stuff together and make things work because they do see eye to eye. I feel like you would get something where if that scenario happens where Superman eats it, and James Gunn is smart enough to say, okay, maybe we just dive deep into this universe instead if this isn't working. He's still got the keys to the castle.
He does.
And then we're just talking about Star Wars. Unlike Filoni, where he doesn't see, you've got this massive hit with Andor, and instead of making it 3 seasons where, from what I heard, they wanted, he's like, well, it's not really Star Wars. It's not really Star Wars.
Do 2. That's it. Get it out of here.
And it's he said he loves Star Wars. Yeah, in front of a bunch of people on stage for like, oh yeah, ask him. Someone ask him in an interview if he feels that Andor is traditional. Or feels like it's part of like what George loves is Star Wars. Ask him that question and see what happens.
They should do it in the Vanity Fair things where they do the lie detector. Yeah. They should put him to the lie detector.
100%. He's very good in interviews. He's very good. And
of course, there's a
lot that he did that was very good, but I think that they gave him, he's turned into Oswald when it comes to the Star Wars side of it. Cupcake Bliss. Last night, the finale of The Penguin was gut-wrenching. Stellar cast, stellar writing, stellar acting. I can't wait for it. I can't wait for Batman 2. Justice for Victor. Question for you. Was there anything that the series missed or got wrong? You got something, John?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I think the only one big criticism I have is they didn't do enough to flesh out the gangs and the specific leaders within the gangs, because that was kind of an afterthought. And I think if they had spent more time, if they had 2 more episodes, you could have found out about the inner machinations within each of the gangs, so that when the big things happen, if big things happen at the end of the finale, the Michael Corleone killing off the head of the 5 families type scene, it would have carried more weight and resonance to have seen what they did. So for me, that's my only thing. They kind of made the gangs an afterthought, and the gangs seem to go wherever they're commanded to go. So they removed their individuality, and that frustrated me because Sophia's having meetings with them. Penguin's having meetings. They all seem to be able to have time to have these meetings. And like, if you're running a big gang, I don't think you have time to make a meeting in like a day. So this is the things that I think frustrated me a little bit on that end, but it's really nitpicking. It's not a big deal.
Nitpicky stuff, but I understand. It's you're trying to find something to have some kind of criticism for it. I get it. Hank Pym, Sofia Gigante is the hottest TV character of all time. All time, I don't know if you're going to go all time, but she's definitely. I love what Mike Kalinowski says. He goes,
what is it?
You ever hear what he says when you talk to him? He goes, I can fix her. Sophia, he loves Sophia. She's so good at it. Hank Pym, I hate when movies shows take villains and say, well, they aren't. We did that already, or is not their fault? Yeah, we did that one already. Okay.
So.
Renetta W. Wait, what's happening now?
Is it repeating? Are these repeating?
Did they? No, I think I just kind of. I see what happens. Okay. Renetta W. Also, the Penguin villain arc was extraordinary. That scene with the Penguin, Sophia, and his mom, I was on pins and needles. It was really great. Yeah. And not needing Batman in one episode, masterful writing, brilliant. You didn't need him. And apparently there was a scrapped scene. Did you hear this?
No, I did not. There was a scrapped scene when he showed up?
Yeah, let me see. Let me read what Matt Reeves said.
Okay.
I think it also played into what you were talking about with the that season 2 was potential. Let's see.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of different things. Oh man, I'm so bummed by a lot of this stuff, man. That what happened at the end. I'm just bummed. All right, so let's see. This is from Comic Book Movie. So the Penguin, Matt Reeves, talks scrap Batman cameo. Said the Penguin wrapped up yesterday, yada, yada, yada. In the series, Batman's absence was pretty distracting. And talking to Entertainment Weekly, Matt Reeves confirmed there was at least discussions about a cameo. Over the course of the writing the season, we discussed many times whether or not there might be some cross-through that we felt was earned. We tried a few different ideas conceptually. Nothing that was ever ultimately written, but nothing seemed to quite gel in a way that felt earned. But even that ended up throwing things off too much. Among the ideas considered was a scene where Batman showing up in front of Vic, Oz's right-hand man, but that was throwing it off too much. We wanted our characters to be the predominant people that you're following in the show. Anything that started to detract from that wasn't servicing the type of show we wanted to do. I agree with that 100%.
Yeah, I think that's totally fair. You got to do what's best for the overall show. And if it doesn't work, trying to shove it in, that'll read to the fans from a mile away.
You had to do it the way you did it. And I think that the way that they did with the bat signal at the end was brilliant because it said, because it's the last thing you see, but it's like, but go see the movie now.
Right.
And you're like, oh, perfect. I got to a place where I didn't even want to see him. Anyway, when it started, I was like, oh, when's he going to show up? And then by the time I got invested, that just shows you it's good writing. You care enough about the characters. You don't need to rely on it. It's like, oh, there's Yoda. Why? Because they don't want to get canceled for season 2. So it's like, take note. Anyway, Mike Joyce. Kristian, did you ever see the last season of The Boys? Not sure if you like it as much now after the election. It might seem too much in your face now. I did not see the last season, but I do want to see it because I just like that universe. I just hadn't had a chance to check it out yet. And I think did I start? I think I did start watching it. I just never finished it. But did you like that season?
I did. It's a little on the nose, but I did like it. And I think where Mike Joyce, what he said, it's an interesting way to look at it if I was to watch it again. You know, so yeah.
Did something happen on the hot mic this past week?
Why? What happened?
Someone said sorry. What happened on the hot mic?
Oh, I don't know. Maybe he's referencing the fact that I came in pretty like everything just kind of hit me on Friday.
Oh, okay.
So I came in a kind of a weird mood on Friday.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Mad Sinister McCall. Penguin is so evil. I bought a Batman costume on eBay post the finale. Colin Farrell versus me, WrestleMania. I make a better Batman than goofy George Clooney. Maybe so, Mad Sinister. Maybe so. But I still liked seeing George again.
Oh yeah, that was nice.
Yeah. I still like seeing him, but even though it was just terrible. Armada. Seems like y'all have different takes on Gladiator II. It doesn't seem I mean, the movie itself, it doesn't seem that way. It just seems like we have different points of view of whether or not it needed to be better than the first one. I think that's where we had a different point of view. Shay Markel. Shout out to Renzi Felice. He didn't spoil anything. No, he didn't. He didn't tell me, and he told me nothing. I did send him an Instagram as soon as I watched that finale, and I was like, that son of a bitch. And so that was
that's great.
Yeah, I thought he was great. I thought that Kristen Milioti and of course Colin Farrell I hope all three of them get nominated.
I agree.
Do. Yeah.
And the series itself.
Yeah. Darth Vader's burnt asshole.
Hey.
You often speak against the MCU using lower tier heroes to lead projects. They closed out of the stories like, I often speak against the MCU using lower tier heroes to lead projects. They closed out of the stories of like 85% of their A tier heroes. Who do they use? MCU can't just be X-Men and Fantastic Four forever. No. I don't speak against it. I speak against it when it's not earned. Didn't speak against Guardians of the Galaxy when it came out. I said they had earned enough of it that it's like, okay, who are these guys? Great. I didn't speak up against Ant-Man when Ant-Man came out. I was like, because they had earned it. When they start saying, well, we're going to make a Young Avengers movie, who's been asking for that? Who's been asking for a Young Avengers movie? Nobody. Everything that they put out with anybody inside of the Young Avengers is eating it. Doing it as a movie, sure. Doing it like, when you're doing certain movies, you're setting something up. And look, I don't know if there's anybody on this show that likes Ryan Coogler more than I do. I love Ryan Coogler. I love Ryan Coogler. I'm telling you, like before, I remember seeing Fruitvale Station before anybody did. I remember seeing it and just singing from it on Schmoes and talking about it, and then so excited when I heard he got Creed, and then talking to him about Creed in Philadelphia is a very surreal moment for me, right?
That's awesome. Yeah.
But what I don't buy from Ryan Coogler was when he said that the whole thing with Ironheart, when that was kind of ready thought of before putting her in the movie and all these different, they put her in that movie to build up that television show.
Well, of course.
Right. Yeah. And it was kind of, he said, like, no, that's not why they did it. Yes, they did. And they gave her some, and she did not pop the way that they wanted her to.
Right.
Now the show might wind up being great.
Right.
But did she earn a television show from that movie? No, she didn't. So the lower tier things just have to earn. You got to earn their characters. It's not a matter of giving it to them. It's a matter of earning it.
It's like gangster. You got to earn it.
You got to earn it. So yeah, it's not lower tier characters. If you can make it work, totally. I mean, look at what Blade, when Blade came out in like 98, it's like that's you can make it work. And as long as you're not over budgeting and doing all that stuff. John Castle Spilotopoulos. Happy Veterans Day, my brother, Rocha. As a disabled vet myself from the Gulf War, I thank you for your service and that I love you, brother. My favorite to watch and follow. Kristian, you're my second. That's fair. Yeah.
What? No, don't put me ahead of
Kristian. I don't share the same bond that you guys do.
Kristian's the OG, man.
Nah, but you guys share a different type of bond. I take no offense to that whatsoever. Roberto, Arsenal. Penguin is great. And thank you to your service too, my friend. Penguin, great. But when did this narrative begin that the Penguin was a C-list level villain? He always been A-list. C-list is something like Kite Man. Yeah, who's calling him? Was it you that was saying that?
No, I've never called him that.
No, I think it was somebody. I don't know if it was Coy. I can't remember who it was. I always saw him as I think maybe it was Winston who said he was.
Oh, was it?
I don't know. I can't remember. But no, I always saw him as like, I would put the Joker's obviously the champ, right?
Yeah.
And then I would say the Riddler. And then I would say Penguin.
Yeah, that's it. Well, what about Catwoman? Where's Catwoman in all of
that? I always see her as anti-hero.
Yeah, because she has the relationship with Batman.
Yeah, I never really see her. I never really see her as a villain. I always see her as an anti-hero.
Yeah, I mean, you gotta start. As you read more of the comics, you're like, well, where does Ra's al Ghul fit? Where do these other kind of strong? Where does Bane fit? So you look at through all these things and see how they. But I agree with you. Classically,
I'm not talking about how they've been portrayed in film. I just mean classically. Spidey Sensei 72. Happy Veterans Day to all of us here in the chat, and happy belated birthday to any Marines in here too. Here. All right, next question. And you got 61 thus far, John. Doing
wow.
Yeah.
Nice.
Shay Markel. I don't believe Oz was ever shown hurting innocents. He battled rich criminals and was good to Vic. It made it easy to think that there was some good in him. That's the thing. I think that it made it seem like it, but it wasn't there. Shay Markel. For a second, I thought he was going to send Vic to Cali. Until that moment, there was still a case to be made for his morality, but now there's no case. Yeah, that I agree with 1,000%, because you got to see me, dude. When I'm watching, I watched other people's reactions to that moment, and the second he says I'm family, or he says I can't take you with me, they're all new, and I'm going, where's he going? Where's he sending them? And then he grabs them. I'm like, no, you bastard. They definitely got me with that. They got me a couple different times in that episode.
That's good. That means they did a good job.
Totally. And I usually see these things coming a mile away.
Yeah.
Crashing Coyote. I hope in Batman 2, last scene between Oz and Batman, Bat drops a table, drops on a table. Wait, hold on. I hope in Batman 2, last scene between Oz and Batman, Bats drops on a table.
Okay.
Oh, he drops on a table Vic's ID on the table and goes, and he says, how the F you get this? Looks up and Bats is gone. I mean, I don't think he's ever gonna. I think that's the last, unfortunately, the tragic story of Vic. to disagree once again to my co-host here. I don't think we ever hear Vic's name uttered again in this universe.
I don't know. They did a good job building him up. It would suck.
I know. That's what I think that's what was so great about it, is the fact that you cared about him so much. Carlton Rudder, London Calling. What's up, Carlton? Busy time at the movies. Honora was amazing. Everybody loves Honora. My Old Ass was great, but Paddington 3 lacked the magic of 2. It's a dud. Ooh. Wow. Tonight, Conclave. Interesting. You know what I did watch? I watched Saturday Night.
And?
I liked it a lot.
Yeah, right. It's a good movie.
That guy that is playing Chevy Chase should be nominated.
On point.
He was so good. And I will say, I thought the entire cast was really, really good. The only one that I thought looked just like him, but still, it's just too hard to do, was the guy playing Belushi, right?
Belushi, yeah.
He was,
to be fair, they didn't give him a lot of real estate.
They didn't give him a lot to do, but the problem, it's just, it's just hard to do what he did. Yes, he was very serious when he was off the air and everything too, but there was something about, even when he was doing the performance, I was like, yeah, he just doesn't have it. I thought the dude from The Americans playing Carlin was excellent.
Matthew Reeves. Yeah, he was great.
Excellent as Carlin. And I was ready to judge because Carlin's my guy. So, and I'm watching him at that point. But no, I thought it was, and the guy who played Lorne Michaels was great, and the end got a little, when he goes to the bar, got a little silly,
a little maudlin.
But other than that, I really enjoyed the movie. I thought it was pretty good.
Yeah, I thought, I've been trying to get people, every time I can to watch this movie because it's
really good.
It's so good. Yeah. It's so good. Everybody. And I thought Dylan O'Brien, I think he was the standout for me, because Aykroyd is deceptively difficult to do.
Yeah, especially young Aykroyd. Because I started watching it with my wife, and she's like, "Oh, he's not really hitting Aykroyd." I go, "He's nailing young John Aykroyd." I go, "He's not." I go, "You're thinking about John Aykroyd now, John Aykroyd, Dan Aykroyd back in the 70s is a different person." Different person altogether. I thought it was done very well in the cadence and how he spoke, and they're all really, really good, man. And what was so great about that casting is I saw them before they even said anything. I knew exactly who they were portraying. Garrett Morris, Lorraine Newman, Gilda Radner. Gilda didn't have enough to do in the movie. I thought she would had a little bit more to do. But and J.K. Simmons as Milton Pearl was great.
Oh my God, that scene with him and Chevy, dude, that is the scene of the movie.
I want to know if that really happened.
Well, it is legend that he would pull his thing out.
Really?
Oh no! Yes. Listen, I'm slightly older than you. I grew up reading about the old school comics, dude. That is a story.
I could see
that is in the Friars roasts, the old Dean Martin roasts. Oh. That is a story that gets mentioned. He absolutely he was a legend for having a long schlong,
and just pulled it out.
To pull it out and just intimidate other comics.
Hilarious. Well, and Cindy Crawford's daughter, Kara Gerber, was really good in the movie too, and she played.
Wait,
she played. She played Chevy's wife.
That's Kara Gerber. That's
the one. That's
gorgeous.
Yeah, and so she was really good. She's much better actress than her mom. No, I love Cindy Crawford. I love me some Cindy Crawford, but
we all love Fair Play, but
there's a reason why you never saw her after Fair Play.
Yeah.
All right, Shay Markel. I love you, John, but Vic's dead, my friend.
I know. You guys think that. I know.
Yeah. Okay. Motorola. What's up, Joey? Just finished your reaction, Kristian. Oh, you effer. You up until that moment, I felt it went on a bit too long. Something else was up. Yeah, I know. It crushed me. It really crushed me. And plus the fact I wonder, and I think that even if I didn't have a chance to sit down with them, I still would have felt the same way,
Yeah.
But even more so after knowing, I was like, because I'm going, I want this guy to keep working. And if they do season 2, Nick Alexander, I watched Penguin very late last night and fell asleep. I thought Vic and him had a nice exchange, not realizing where it led. When I rewatched, what a brutal scene with Vic. Please, more seasons. Yeah. I don't necessarily, and we didn't really talk about this, I don't know if I need a season 2.
Well, I mean, the stories have come out today that they're kicking around the possibility of a season 2. So I hear you, but I wouldn't be surprised.
I don't know if we need it. I think if we're going to get him in Batman 2, this is a great way to build. I know why HBO Max would need it.
Of course.
And I know that why a truck full of money we can get Colin Farrell to do it again, but I don't know if we need it. And I think that if you do it this time, it's got to be after the Batman 2, leading into Batman 3, and you got to have Pattinson pop up this time because it's going to be too, because it's just going to be too related to it at this point. But I don't know.
And Gordon, which was frustrating for me.
Right.
No Jim Gordon. How would he not be involved with an explosion like that? You know?
Yeah, that's true. It was more about me. Let's see.
Stay back, Jim.
I love that guy. So let's see. This is from Darth Vader's Burnt Asshole. Also, first 3 episodes of Arcane are pure fire. That's what I'm hearing, man. That's what I'm hearing. I want to do reactions to them. This series can only exist at this quality in animation. Truly, every frame is a painting. My daughter's already blown through all 3 of them. She just annihilated it. She got at 1, 2, and 3. She watched. She's like, Dad, you're gonna love it. And I was like, I couldn't. She finished it in like maybe a night.
Oh God,
or maybe at least a day. Yeah, because they have school off. So I am excited to check it out, and I'll probably watch it. I'll probably watch it soon.
Yeah, I'm trying to decide if I should do reactions to the first season because I never saw it, or if I should just pick up with season 2. I don't know.
Don't start watching with season 2.
No, I mean I'll watch season 1 and then do reactions to season 2.
I feel like I think you might get people wanting to see how you're going to react to that one because it's so beloved, and like I thought about redoing, like watching it again and doing it, but I just time wise, and then I've seen it already, so probably jumping right into it. Plus, I'm like I said, this Friday we start our MCU rewatch of my rewatch. Sam's never seen it, so that's going to hit on Friday. And then I'm going to be doing, I think, reactions to this. I think Cobra Kai I might do. I'm not sure yet. But and then Dune.
Oh, right.
Yeah, so there's a lot of stuff coming out.
Prophecy, right, exactly.
Paige Chowdhury. Hey, classy gents, do you think they will do a Catwoman show? Can I get healing vibes? My husband broke his ankle. Oh, man, he definitely got the healing vibes. Yes, I hope he feels better soon. No, I don't think we're going to get a Catwoman show. Yeah, I think John thinks it's possible, which I wouldn't be opposed to, but I don't think they're gonna. You think it's gonna happen?
I heard months ago it was gonna happen. They were working. They've been working on it, so I wouldn't be surprised.
I wouldn't be opposed to it. I really like her a lot, and I think that would be great to. I want to see more of this universe. I really like this universe.
You can't do the Catwoman show without Batman. He has to be a part of it.
Especially now they've established. If it was before if it's before the Batman, then sure. But if it's after the Batman movie, then no, you can't.
Unless Selena's going to break her out at the end there and bring her to Bloodhaven, and you do a whole nother show that's not in Gotham, then maybe. But
I'm really looking forward to seeing Zoe Kravitz and Kristen Milioti do scenes together.
Goodness gracious!
Oh man, but not just for the how attractive they are, but they're just both great actresses.
Oh, I just meant the talent.
Oh no, you did not. You lying suckers. Jason Crosby. What do you think it'll take for studios to quit inflating budgets to stupid levels? I just read today that Terrifier 3 has made almost $80 million on a budget of $2 million. Crazy profit margins to me. I think the conversation that we just had about Lucasfilm with Simon Kinberg pretty much shows you that it's going to be a vicious circle. Yes, they're bringing him in to contain budgets and to do that and make it. They're bringing him in to make sure that the bleeding stops on spending than losing. They know they're not going to lose Simon Kinberg. Simon Kinberg is going to go, oh, sure. What do you want me to do? Okay, you want me to do that? Oh, you don't like that? You want me to do that? Okay, I'll do that. Are you sure? You want that? Okay. There's not going to be any fighting with him. There's not going to be the creative differences and him leaving. They're going to get what they asked for with him. But that doesn't mean they're not going to go, here's $200 million to make the first movie. So I think that this is what the studios do. They overspend, and they think that with marketing with these big action movies, you have to overspend. And I wish that they would go back to the Terminator 1984 style of filming.
Yeah, great point. Yeah, I agree with all of that. Nothing more to add to that.
Yeah. Okay, next one. We got 64 questions thus far. Hey, doing really well here. Good start to the week for John. Can he hit 70 today? We'll find out. Shay Markel. For me, what's tragic about Vic is he'd fight and kill to save Oz, but couldn't fight Oz to save his own life. Was manipulated and just submitted and begged. Yeah, it was horrible. It was horrible. I was like, I wanted to reach through the screen and save him. Like, it was like, I haven't felt like that in a show like that in quite a while. Yeah. Okay.
He's still on. Go ahead.
No, he's not. The Cali Kid. Have you seen Anora? It's the best movie I've ever seen. Have you seen it yet?
Not yet. No, I'm going today. There's a double bill today, Honora and Heretic. I'm going to catch them both today.
Shoot. Okay. That's that. I do want to see that one. Shay Markel. After the new Thunderbolts trailer, the seems to represent the team name is still undecided. Was that obvious? And I'm just now learning this. So, so what does this mean? The asterisk seems to represent the team name. It's still undecided. So the name of the team or the name of the movie?
The name of the team. The name of the movie is going to stay Thunderbolts, but I think by the end of the movie, they're going to be the Dark Avengers. And so I think that's clear because of how they showed that in the movie. Thunderbolts, I don't want that name. It's a stupid name. So they're clearly going to change it. So, yeah.
Matt Sinister McCall. Friday, I was watching Heretic and Conclave at Regal with 2 large popcorns. I've been gassing all weekend. Then I broke my small toe, and now I'm walking like Oz. Perfect. I still haven't seen Heretic. And Conclave I hear great things about, but I haven't seen him yet. Yeah.
Goddamn popcorn.
Yeah,
too much popcorn.
Too much. I got the shits. Skeleton Strange New World's #1 fan. I'm with Brother Rocha. Oz tossing Vic's license away means something for the future. Well, we got one person who agrees with you.
I know it's a small island.
Yeah, but you're not alone. We got Wilson with you. That shot was script, real estate, and real estate has meaning. Yeah. Maybe. We'll see. Probably not. Calvin Patel. Big props to young Oz, Ryder Allen. He crushed it down to his mannerisms and dialect. He was really good, that kid. I believed him every step of the way that he was young Colin Farrell.
You think, I see you in the ways that they don't see you. I see you. No one's going to love you the way I love you. Whoa.
It was so good. Matt B. I saw so much white heat influence. I did too. Cagney. I saw so much. There was I said it in one of my reactions. I was like, oh, this is like a Cagney movie, man. 100%, 100% white heat influence in the show when it came to Oz and his mother. One
top of the world, except his mom actually loved him.
Yes,
whereas this mom did.
100% Cagney for sure. Mike Joyce. Which organization is worse, Bears or the Giants? I think the Giants have enough in play right now. It's not coming to formation, but I think more so than the Bears. What do you think?
I think the Giants are one quarterback away from turning the entire team around. Right. I don't think that's the truth with the Bears.
That's essentially what I meant to. Shay Markel. She should have put Oz up for adoption as a child. I mean, that's not really a nice thing to do to anybody.
He'd have killed her eventually.
I know. Yeah. Shay Markel. Who else could lead Mission Impossible franchise? Oh man, who else could lead it? So, do you think Tom Cruise is gonna eat it in the next one?
No, I just think he's not gonna want to do it anymore. They might retire. I mean, like Tommy's almost is he 65? Like he's getting the senior citizen age, man.
But he could find a way to do something. I don't think that even a TV show. I think there's no way that he retires. I think that. I said it in my reaction. I said in the Deadpool, Simon Pegg is the top of the Deadpool.
Oh, you think Simon Pegg dies?
If anyone's going to die from the team, it's going to be Simon Pegg because Haley Atwell, they kill all the women all the time, but I think they're not going to kill her this time. I think she's going to survive. You can't kill Ving Rhames because especially if you're going to do a TV show, he's got to be there. So who else is left? Tom Cruise? You're not going to kill Tom Cruise.
I don't think they're going to kill anybody. I mean, they killed what's her face in the last one. I don't want to say
Yeah. So I think that if they do, I tend to agree with you. I don't think that they will, but if they do, I think it's going to be Simon Pegg.
Okay.
Yeah. Evil John Madden. I can't believe that after the election, Rocha is on a show run by a white guy. Here you go. After watching his post-election reactions, it's clear that you don't like white people, John, unless it's Vogel or whatever McClung is.
Here's my theory. You don't like this, but there are people you like in this, but you don't like this. Imagine that kind of logic. It's so stupid. And you know what? There's a lot of really good white people. I don't like certain white people for sure, but I don't like certain people of any color who feel a certain way about life, So.
There you go. Matt Sinister McCall. Beth Snyder. Red One is projecting 1 billion empty seats.
Yeah, 1 billion.
That's what he said. We're supposed to see that this weekend or this week.
God, I'm not going to that screening. I turned it down. I told him no way.
I feel bad not going. I want to go.
Why? You owe him nothing.
No, not
Stop
him.
it.
Not The Rock. I want to go because I reached out for a screening to the studio, and they said, and it's like, well, why are you reaching out, a-hole, if you're not going to go?
Yeah, that's true. That's a fair point.
That's what so Dan V 900. James Gunn debunked the Joker show report. A Catwoman show is a much better idea. Adapted version of When in Rome. And then Batman, where are you as the crime families are getting killed and there's an explosion? I mean, they're not taking advantage of the innocent. And that's what Batman really does. They're just killing each other. There's not a lot of innocents that were getting taken out. Although you make a point with the explosion, Batman's probably figuring that out. And maybe that's what the essence of the movie at the beginning is going to be, is that's what would be great is in the way that they did it in the show where it was episode 3 when you saw the Riddler explosion.
Yeah.
Like if they if they do that in the beginning of the Batman, you see like the Batman, he's kind of realizes shit's going down, and they show you up until that signal with Oz, I would assume they're going to relate it that way.
It's just weird that they never mentioned him, and he just had the whole interaction with the Batman in the Batman. So it's weird that he never once worries about the Batman showing up. So clearly he hasn't established himself quite as strongly in Gotham as we might think.
Year 2, right?
But yeah, so maybe there's, because the thing is, the Batman rumors are that Mr. Freeze is going to be the villain in the second one.
Okay.
Freeze could have captured him. Right. And so it could be that the Batman is hostage right now and couldn't show up to all this stuff.
That's interesting. The great Derek Johnson showing some support. Happy Veterans Day for all who celebrate. Don't forget to get your discounts today. There you go.
You too, Derek. You too. Respect.
Bobby Jackson. What's up, Bobby? Hey, John, did you get a chance to binge Severance and The Offer this past weekend? No, you didn't.
I will this week. I promise.
You've never seen The Offer?
No,
and
I gotta
watch.
You'd
love it. You would love it.
I've been watching Godfather movies all weekend.
Oh, then dude, you have to see it.
The Offer.
Oh,
I know.
You gotta see The Offer. Now, especially now, if you rewatch this, Peter Kalenko, what Gilroy did for Star Wars, Reeves and LaFranc did for the Batman DC. I agree. Joker is my favorite villain, but I hope they showcase other villains. We got such a thrilling, rich treat with Penguin and Sophia. I totally agree. I do like the idea of putting the Joker to close the franchise, though. I really do.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Gopal, happy Veterans Day. And less importantly, happy I was able to watch the Penguin this morning. Yeah, for real. That way, everybody who's part of this conversation. And we had a lot of people that were in this conversation. And he follows it up. Gopal. That whole first scene, I was distracted by Sophia's red scarf and wondering if it was affixed to the dress or what was going on there. I don't know. It was a good choice. I loved her style. But I love that crazy, like, late 80s mullet that she had going on, too.
Yeah.
It just worked so well for the character.
Well, the red and black is sexy.
Yeah.
And so the scarf that way, and remember, she tucked it inside her top, which made it even more like the allure and the sexiness of Sophia. So I think that's why they did it. Red is danger. And like Kalinowski says, I can fix her. Yeah. That red signifies, like a red flag.
How about that doctor? The doctor who that was, I guess, really? I'll tell you, that was one of the things, by the way, the doctor, people asked me before, was one of the things, any criticism.
Yeah.
So he stops working at Arkham to go work for her. And then, and he's like, hey guys, can I have my job back? And he starts working. He's not working at Arkham, I guess, but he's working wherever she is now. Yeah. And he's now working there. It's like, wait, what?
I said that in my reaction to him, like, wait, he got his job back that quick?
Right. Is she at Arkham?
Mm-hmm.
She is. Okay. All right.
Yeah, 100%.
Derek, can we find someone who has a different story to tell? Feige had a story to tell and new ideas. Star Wars feels like a franchise without a story. Find me a storyteller who understands the lore. Well, that's the thing, is that I don't want to say, I mean, I know that I've been very tough on Filoni the last year, and it's like, he definitely knows the lore. You're not going to take that away from him. The guy knows the lore and he knows everything too. I just wish that he wasn't so, like, tied into, no, this is what Star Wars is and you guys don't really know. Like I wish he wasn't that, because he does know the lore very, very well. And I wish that, I wish he wasn't so set in his ways, I guess.
Yeah.
Fair point. Derek Johnson, all these Star Wars projects, and I couldn't tell you what the overarching story is. Yeah, it's true. They want to create a universe, but now we got kids in space, Mando doing something, Ahsoka riding whales, Disney is now an old Jedi Part 1. Daisy's now an old Jedi Part 1. I agree with that. That's the thing, is that's why I said, like, I saw so many stupid comments on my Skeleton Crew reaction, because I said, it looks like a fun adventure show. It looks like a fun adventure show. My biggest note with it was, is this the show that you really want to do after the failure of Acolyte, right? Is this? I mean, it was already set up, but then it's like it just didn't have that Star Wars feel to me. It's like, well, what do you think Star Wars is? What do you think? I hate that criticism. The people, you don't know what Star Wars is, and it's like, no, it doesn't. It doesn't have that magic of Star Wars. It just doesn't. That trailer. It seems like Goonies in space, which is fun, and it could be a great show, but but it doesn't have the essence of a Star Wars show. It doesn't feel like it. Do you think it feels like, I mean, I'm not just talking about the old trilogy. I'm talking about things that Andor had in it. I'm talking about things that the prequels had in it. It doesn't feel like a Star Wars show.
It feels like an original trilogy show. That's what it feels like.
You think so?
Going back to the 1980s. Yeah, for me it does. Okay. I think that's what it feels like. Right. But it's going back to the old 1980s. So I don't think it has anything to do. It doesn't have a prequels vibe. It doesn't have a sequel vibe, and it doesn't have an Andor vibe for sure.
Okay, I don't mean the way that's filmed. I'm talking about like the essence of it. So, but we'll see. But look, I could sing a different tune after I see the movie or after I see the show. I could say like, oh wow, that the trailer. Look at Transformers 1. Like Transformers 1, that trailer was atrocious. And then I was like, that movie has the most. And I said, because I remember watching. I've said the same thing. Said that trailer does not seem like the original Transformers kind of thing the lore that I fell up with. It's just cracking jokes. It looks so stupid.
Right.
And the movie captured all of the essence of what the Transformers was. And maybe this show will do the same thing. Yeah. Nick Alexander. Hey, Rocha. Vic is a dead man. Yep. Shay Markel. Do you guys want a Sicario 3? Because I do. Sheridan should return to write it, and Villeneuve should return to direct. If you get that team to do all that, and they have the story to tell, but I wouldn't, because he didn't do the second one, did he?
No, he didn't, and that's and the second one's good. It's just not.
It's not the same.
It's not an even Villeneuve.
No, Deakins didn't shoot the second one either, did he?
No, I don't think so.
The first one's special. The first one's a special movie. Like, I want to see the movie again. I love that movie.
It's a fucking crime that wasn't nominated for Best Picture.
Agreed.
It's the best picture of 2015.
It's really good. I have to go back and look at the list, but I'm not gonna dispute you on that claim because I love that movie. But seeing a third one, it depends. It depends on who the team is. Arun Babaraj, if your sequel is not good, you can always have the goodness of the original, is what I think. A bad sequel doesn't take anything away from the first one. Well, it can. It can, because if there's certain things that are made, like look at, I mean, I know people disagree with me, but I think Joker 2, certain choices that they make, I think the ending does negate the first movie. I think it very 100%. Much so. Coy argues with me on that one, but I actually think that it negates it. So I think sometimes if a second movie is not good or does things inside the second one that makes the first one irrelevant. Like, here's a perfect example. Going back to Star Wars. Force Awakens, to me, when I saw that movie, liked it a lot. Yeah. Still don't mind it, but I don't go back and watch it because I know what comes afterwards. I know that The Last Jedi is the next thing to watch, and that's like depressing every time. And then you get the Cotton Candy episode 9 it's all just a mess. So I don't even ever watch episode 7 because I'm like, I remember what comes next.
Yeah. I feel that way about The Matrix.
Oh yeah. Another great point.
I mean, The Matrix Reloaded and Revolutions are just not good movies. I don't care what anybody says. There's good scenes within those movies, but they're not good movies overall. And to me, that's a big reason why I don't see The Matrix a lot, because I know what comes next, and it's a fucking tragedy. So.
Yeah, especially in the way that it ends. It ends so it sends like it's going to just be the
we do
best
this all the time.
Yeah.
Wait, what?
Yeah,
that ending. Yeah.
Derek Johnson, part 2. I'm excited for the new Star Wars projects, but if you want to create a universe, you've got to give me a story that I can follow without reading the books and looking up a timeline online. I agree with him. I think he's absolutely right. I think that the problem, Derek, is that they don't, as you said it, they don't have it though. They don't know. It's like, well, what do? We need to be successful. Hey, who should we call? You want to call Simon? Simon's got an idea for 3 movies. All right, let's get him on the phone. Well, he doesn't have an idea. I have an idea for 3 movies, and Simon can get it done for cheap. Well, for the budget we want. Will he take notes? Yeah, it's Simon. Oh, okay. Will he put a balloon with a happy face on it if we need him to? Yeah, I'll do 2. Okay, good. Then let's get Simon in here.
Get me Simon right now.
So silly. Derek Johnson. Every time someone comes on here with some hate, I'll donate the same amount. Well, there you go.
Wow.
Perfect.
Where's the hate?
Oh, he was talking before when you got the thing about being on a show with me.
Oh.
Yeah. Armada. I made an early super chat before y'all talked about Gladiator II. Oh, my bad. Okay, so very curious for the Dune show. Also, the new Max show preview with Ruffalo looks fire. I didn't. Have you seen what there's a new Ruffalo show?
No, I did not see
I
that.
didn't see that.
That's exciting. Okay.
Okay,
I love that.
okay. Mike Joyce, did you see that Wicked doll toys are being recalled because the package links to the Wicked XXX site? The site is seeing its most traffic in 12 years. That's the best. That's the best story on the internet. I love that so much.
Perfect.
My God, you can't. I wonder if Cynthia Erivo was pissed off about that.
Mommy, where's Ariana Grande here? Oh my God.
That's not Ariana Grande. Well, that's somebody else Grande.
That's Grande.
Yeah,
all right.
that's Grande. All right. Joe Ryder, Dan, Hal, and Screen Junkies recently did a 1-round movie fights. Really? That's cool. It was great. Any memorable moments or times you're surprised with what you came up with? Thanks.
I'm sorry. Are they still around? I'm sorry. Screen Junkies?
I don't know. That's what he said. Who
did it? Dan,
Hal, and SJ.
Oh, I don't know who SJ.
I would assume it's Screen Junkies.
Oh, maybe he did it on his channel or something. I don't know.
I'm not sure.
I didn't think Screen Junkies was still around. I thought it was fandom.
Memoir-wise, I mean, making up the fake movie in a fit of desperation.
Oh yeah,
that's probably my favorite.
I just think Fighting with Mance, that was my favorite.
That's a good one too. Yeah, that led to some great stuff. So Mad Sinister Macau, throw milk duds at people talking in the theater. I mean, I don't ever advocate for violence, but I wouldn't call anybody if I saw that. I wouldn't call the cops.
Yeah. Listen, I've gotten in fights at theaters. I don't like it. So I try to avoid it and move away instead of.
That's why I don't go. It's very, very rare that I will ever go to a movie outside of press screenings now.
I know. I loved that. I love that in LA, even though people in LA could be, a bit much as well. It was so inconsistent that I didn't mind it. But here it's consistent. Whenever I go to a screening with regular people who are not critics, they just have no respect in San Diego for these films, and they talk all through. It's so frustrating, man.
Yeah. So someone said that they can't stop laughing every time I talk about Ahsoka. That's my favorite, is the overusage of LOL and the false thing is like, oh, I was laughing. So no, you weren't. You may have smirked. You might have smirked or shook your head or couldn't believe it. But like people, anytime someone writes LOL or anything, just like, and I wrote someone back. I was like, oh, were you rolling on the floor too, laughing your ass off as well too? Was that true? Were you actually doing that? I said because they think that the writing in Ahsoka is good, and more power to them. It's atrocious. The writing in Ahsoka is atrocious, absolutely atrocious.
Yeah.
Shay Markel, I booked a triple feature yesterday, but I canceled my Red One tickets because the theater was packed. I hate sitting in a crowded theater. That's
I agree,
good.
Man.
You think it's gonna be packed?
Maybe the opening weekend.
Okay, we'll see.
In certain areas.
Yeah, he said crowded theater. My bad. Here's some support. Thank you, Shay. And then he said, Google Wicked Dolls. That poor film is in trouble. I think it's still going to make a lot of money.
Dude, the reviews have been really, really good. Even from people who might be cynical about a movie like that. So I'm kind of going, well, maybe it is good because I haven't liked the trailers. So
I didn't either. DUI champ. Brother Rocha, I emphasize with your occasional salty mood. I passed an anti-gay political sign on the side of a highway, kicked it into a railroad track, and I have a central court hearing now on November 26th.
Oh no! Yeah. Oh no! This is why I say you can be upset. Don't do those things that put you in trouble. I mean, we all have a right to express our opinion. We all have a right to have feelings about these situations, and certainly those of us who care about these communities, we want to be allies in the best way possible. But physically attacking, physically doing things, throwing things away, we're just taking the tools of the other side and doing it ourselves, and that's not the way to do it. So I'm sorry you're going to court for that. That sucks, dude.
Armada. Also, did you see the Return trailer yet? It's out now. Is that the one? What's the Return?
That's the Binoche with Ray Fiennes, the reuniting them from English Patient.
Is that the one? That's the one from when he's in the olden times.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I want to look. I remember when Sarah and I did our fall movie preview. That one stood out to us. So I want to see that. Yeah. Ill Magic. Nolan and Reeves both have a realistic world building of Batman, but would you say makes them different? Hard to say right now because Nolan had those 3 movies, and Reeves has 1 movie plus the series, but he didn't really direct the Penguin. He produced it, He didn't
Yeah, he
direct
produced
it. So what I will say what makes them different is that the rated R version to the PG-13 version.
Yeah. I would also say one is distinctly Chicago, one is distinctly New York. And I think that's the difference. And I like the Matt Reeves setting it in essence in New York. That feels more realistic in Batman to me than the Chicago settings of Batman with Christopher Nolan. And that's just the difference, not a ding, you know.
Troy Ortiz, what's Star Wars without Luke, Han, Leia, and Vader? I feel the passion is gone. What's your guys' opinion recasting these iconic characters? They have put themselves in a place right now that I just don't think that is doable. The only way you can really do that is if Star Wars goes away for like 20, 30 years and they reboot it by remaking it. And I just think they've just invested too much with all the stuff they did, even mentioning Ahsoka, putting Hayden Christensen in there as Anakin and doing the stuff that they did with the TV shows and all that. It's just there's too much investment in all those different characters right now, and Luke and Mark Hamill coming back for certain things. So recasting it, I don't think it's in the near future. Do you think so, John?
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I think that would be a dangerous road to walk at this point because people are they're waiting with their fork and knives to attack at any moment about anything you do. Recasting, they'll go because all they'll do is like, that's not my Luke, or that doesn't look like, you know.
Right.
But I do think they need to recast. We're way too precious about Luke and Leia and Han, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And they absolutely do need to recast.
You can recast them if you're going to do younger stuff with them into the timelines themselves. Totally. I think you don't, because I still don't think the deep fake technology is all the way there yet.
No, I agree. 100%.
So, yeah. It's me, Steve-O. Is Denzel's performance on Gladiator II Oscar worthy? No, I think John and I both feel the same way, but it's a really fun performance, though.
He's not in it enough to be Oscar.
No, but he's in it more than I thought he was, though.
Yeah, fair.
Okay. So I don't.
They
agree.
don't have scenes, I guess.
But let me tell you, I don't agree with that he's not in it enough because Anne Hathaway was in one scene and won the Oscar.
For
Les Mis.
Les Mis, right? And then Judi Dench was only 9 minutes of Shakespeare left. I hear what you're saying. I guess they don't give him the scenes in the time that he's there. Would be Oscar.
Which I agree with. He doesn't have enough to do Oscar wise. I think but it's a fun performance.
It is.
Derek Johnson, what bastards thought it was a good idea to end the What If series? Whoever canceled that should be fired. Did they cancel it or did they say they were only doing 3 seasons?
I don't remember. But I think this is the last one, clearly. So,
yeah. I'm okay with that though. Because
you got to look at the ratings. Are the ratings high?
It's that. It's probably the ratings are probably low. Plus the fact that they also don't. I thought the first season they were really going to play his multiverse stuff. I thought they were going to play it into the movies, and they didn't. It's just ignored. So if you're not going to tie it into your multiverse stuff when your multiverse is about to end, then what's the point of continuing to do it?
Yeah.
Steph Diganasti, aka Marvel Man, Victor could come back and could be Victor Zsasz. I don't know.
Oh, Victor Zsasz? Mr. Zsasz? Yeah, maybe. I would hate it if that's the truth because I think that's a lesser character than Red Hood, but maybe.
Yeah. Josh Vaskovich. Hey, guys, just started watching The Sopranos. Fan-effing-tastic so far. What is your guys' overall assessment of the show? No spoilers. Well, I literally have the Pie O My poster over here, too. It's one of my favorite shows of all time. It's great. And what I will say is that you're lucky that you're watching it the way you are because I watched it and John watched it where we had to wait 2 years for a season in between seasons. And I thought at the time that it devalued one of the seasons for me. I think it was, I can't remember if it was 4 into 5 or 3 into 4. I can't remember. But either way, by the time I got there, I'm like, oh man, because I was like, this isn't as good as the last season. But when you watch it all together, like from now, it's just brilliant.
Plus, you're getting them now in 4K, 16 by 9. We had to watch it in 4 by 3.
That's right.
It wasn't as good in SD.
Yeah, it's true. Julius Wyatt. Panthers have won 2 in a row. Never thought I'd see that day. Sorry, Cage. Yeah, I know. That season's look. The whole season's toast. Tough weekend to be a Georgia football fan. Happy Veterans Day to all who served. Yeah, well, I definitely echo that. Go ahead, John.
Yeah, Carson Beck. It's been on the deck for him to make to blow a game, so no surprise.
Nerdy Mastermind. What lessons do you think that Star Wars and Marvel should learn from Penguin to make their spinoff series moving forward better? Penguin has raised the bar. Well, they're not going to take any lessons because they're not going to pay attention. They don't think well, Marvel might, but the one thing that they'll look at is they'll say, look, where Marvel can echo some of this is what they do in Daredevil. Like, what are they going to do in Daredevil? They have an opportunity here. Now, they're not going to make it as dark as Penguin is because it's different. Plus, it's following a hero. But you can still make it pretty gritty. You can still capture that essence of, the Netflix series. And that's what they did by saying, let's reshoot this thing and let's do it. Yeah. And you're hoping so they have an option to do that. And they've done, and they're pushing the envelope with Deadpool and Wolverine and other things too. One of the things that both need to do, and I think you agree with me, John, is stop with these 35-minute episodes. Stop this.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. Stop it already. Yeah.
It is really, really, that's an issue. Be character driven. Don't just try to, say, well, we think this is what we want to do here, but take the actual freaking story and let it develop. Let the characters flourish, and don't just hit 35 minutes. And if you're gonna do hour-long episodes, then do 6 episodes instead of 12, or instead of 8, or do 5 episodes and make them longer. But there's a lot more. Like I said, you got to gut the Lucasfilm TV and film department because they're going to keep making the same mistakes over and over and over again. They're terrible right now. All right, Corin K6 Rocha, when does your new channel chart? And will it be weekly?
I don't know, man, to be honest with you. Let me keep processing things, and then at some point, because just even the sound of his voice drives me insane. So I got to get past that if I'm going to do the channel. So
Miguel Zane, I needed that bat signal at the end. I needed hope in this filthy town with these nasty, evil people running shit. I needed that silver lining of hope. Well, that was the point, right? It was the fact it's like, hey, don't forget, this is a Batman thing. Batman's still around, guys. Don't worry. So loved that. Really love that.
I need hope in his godforsaken town.
Yeah. Johnny Venerable, why is the Mando movie not until 2026? Supposedly they're done shooting. Get that out ASAP. Lucasfilm is waiting too long. Risk losing broad appeal. So yes and no. I think that you're waiting a while, but you're hoping the absence the heart, what is it, gross fond or whatever the frick. Yeah. So that's the one thing, is that if you wait, plus the fact 2025 is stacked right now.
I know it's massive 2025.
So wait and own it, edit it, reshoot whenever you need to reshoot, make sure it's perfect, and land in 2026. I think May of 2026 is a good date for them at this point, because it allows you to lead up, and I don't think they're going to lose it because they're also not putting any other. They're putting Andor out, which is a good thing for them. They'll have Andor, and people will probably be riding high off of Andor season 2. So all right, next one. Let's see how many more we got left here. Just a few more, John. Shay Markel. My understanding is that they only killed Rebecca off in MI7 at her request. She had few scenes, but still had to stick around for massive amounts of time waiting to shoot them, and she missed some opportunities. Oh, I didn't hear that. Did you know that?
No, I didn't know that, but it makes sense. Yeah. Because Rebecca ain't no wallflower, and when she wants to be a part, if you're just gonna not give her much to do, she'll tell you exactly what she wants to do.
And she's been doing a lot of stuff. I don't watch her show. Silo, is it good?
I don't know. I haven't watched it.
I heard it's really good.
You should watch it. Everyone says good things.
I heard good things. Monica R. Finale was amazing. I can't get enough of that world. Made me want to rewatch the Batman. Same. Really looking forward to Gladiator II, seeing Honora tonight. Let me know what you think about all of those, Monica, because it seems like that's pretty that's interesting. Oh yeah, shoot. So glad that Karen Walder Melchton writes, R.I.P. to the great Tony Todd. We lost Tony Todd over the weekend.
Yeah.
Which is did you interview him at Collider?
No, I wish I had. Okay. That would have been fun.
Like somebody did, like when he was at, I don't know if it wasn't on Collider Live, or if it was, I wasn't there. But yeah, he was great, man. What a phenomenal actor he was.
Could have been Barry because of the horror show.
Could be.
Maybe.
Could be.
Virginia Madsen wrote a great tribute.
Oh, did she?
Oh, beautiful.
He was very well loved. Well loved. Never heard a bad thing about him. Yep. Jim 1, keeping an open mind about Captain America 4, but I wonder if people will still be in the mood for a political thriller with all that's going on. I think it allows to, because it's in Marvel and you got a Red Hulk running around the joint. It's a little different.
I think it's a legitimate concern, though, because that'll be right after, like maybe a month after the inauguration. So I do think there's there's going to be, because I mean, a lot of the beats, if you saw the trailer, feels very similar to stuff that's going on, and maybe they thought a certain election was going to go a certain way, so it would be more interesting, and now it's not. So we'll see. All
right. Hank, Yeet, hey Rocha, thoughts on the OG Bloodline being back? Harloff, time to hop back on before Survivor Series. I will watch the Survivor Series, but I just haven't enough time to watch.
You have kids, you have the two channels. I mean, like, it's a lot. It's a lot to ask. I agree. We're shutting down Ring Generals. We're going to announce it later on today. We're done doing the show. We just don't have the time. I'm going to move it over to my sports channel and just do occasional wrestling stuff on the sports channel. That's kind of related, so it works. But yeah, there's too much to watch now, and there's not enough time. But yes, I love that the OG's back together. That being said, I don't think Sammy is fully in the camp. Let me just lay that down for now. Lay that down for now.
Interesting. Tom Hanks, the Kermit Omegle videos are so funny. Recommended. Were you on the? Did I tell you about these?
What is this?
Oh my god, dude! It's so wrong, but it's so funny. You know the program Omegle, right?
No, what is that?
So I don't even know. I don't even know if it's still around anymore. But it was basically you just hop from room to room talking to people, right? So so Kermit the Frog did one, right? Did a bunch of them. You can find it on Instagram, but it's not really Kermit the Frog. It's a guy doing his voice, and he's like, "Hey, how's it going?" And he just talks to some woman, and he goes, and she's like, "Oh, I love you." He goes, "Yeah, how much you love me?" And he brings up a cucumber, and she's like, "Oh no," and he's like, "Oh yeah, why? What's wrong?" It is hilarious. It is absolutely hilarious. But treat yourself and look for Kermit the Frog Omegle.
How do you like me now? How do you like me now?
It's hilarious. You'll lose your mind laughing. The Cali Kid, do you know if Horizon 2 will get a theatrical release? I don't think so. I think Horizon is incredibly cinematic and exciting. Also, I hope people go to see Anora. Everyone's talking about Anora.
Did you see what happened? How they took him out on the Yellowstone last night? Ugh.
What do you mean?
They took him out.
They killed him?
Yeah.
What, the character?
Yeah.
But he wasn't there.
No, it was a body, but it was him.
Oh, and really?
It's a whole, and
so he's not coming back, obviously.
No, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And they made it seem like it was one thing and it might be another thing. And so they're going to be investigating his death throughout the back half of the show. But it's so soap opera. Man, this is why I can't do Yellowstone.
Yeah.
Lioness, that's a badass show. Okay. Yellowstone is a cheesy soap opera for country people. It drives me nuts.
I did like the prequel though. The 18 was it 1890?
Oh, I gotta watch those. Maybe those are better.
I like that one. Okay, Hank Pym watched Red One last night. First movie of The Rock I've seen in over a decade. I can confirm he still can't act. Oh, movie was rough other than Krampus. Oh, poor.
How dare you?
Poor The Rock.
The Rock can act.
I guess they said he can't. There's only a couple left here, John. Sorry. Troy Ortiz, Rocha, what went wrong with your beloved Knowles? With ours? And they both they stunk up the joy. That's what it was.
1-9 right now. 1-7.
That's the worst. That's the worst it's been in a long time, right?
We're decades. We haven't been as bad in decades.
Yeah, decades.
And he fired the offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator, quarterbacks coach.
It's bad.
But you know what? It's just a bad season. I don't think we should have fired anybody. It's just a bad season. We almost made the national championship last year, the playoffs. So look, it's just a bad season.
That's probably why.
They recruited a shit quarterback. DJ is a terrible quarterback.
Well, do you think, switching sports, do you think Aaron Boone survives?
He did. He resigned.
Did he resign? Did he? I didn't see it. I missed it.
For one more year. He's back for another year.
You get one more shot. I mean, he made it to the series. Elusive Rock. It was revealed that Stranger Things 5 takes place a year after 4. How? Well, we're going to have to find out when it comes out.
Yeah. Because they all don't look like a year after 4.
That's right. It's true. Luke Skywanker, what's your stance on calzones? I love them over pizza. Well, I don't love them over pizza, but I do love them.
I do love calzones as well. Not over pizza.
Not over pizza, but the sauce. The sauce, it's all about the sauce with calzone. Armada. Funny how we went from Joker 2 to Penguin. Crazy. Yeah, Joker 2 just forgotten. Crazy how that movie was like so everyone's looking forward to and just forgotten. Last one. Jay Mobile. Victor is dead, in my opinion. Penguin has killed plenty of people to know how to choke someone to death 100%. A Lazarus Pit revival would ruin it. I'm with you. I agree. I agree with you.
Everything is ruined until you see how good it can be done.
That's it. All right, John, we did it. We made it. We did it. You end in here. Oh wait, actually, no, one more. Shay Markel, who says you're 100% correct about Yellowstone, John. I still watch it, but I hope the worst happens to every character on that show. They're all terrible people.
I just don't buy a moment that Kelly Riley tries to say badass stuff. I don't think she's badass at all. She's cosplaying. Go watch Zoe Saldana on Lioness. That's a badass. You believe every moment when she's talking badass. Kelly's like, I'm going to burn your playhouse down. You're like, oh, God. It's just not strong.
Roxy loves Kelly Riley. No, you're not on board.
We should have a debate.
You should, for sure. We got to do a show with you guys.
I would love it.
Yeah, we got to do that. All right. That's it, guys. Thank you so much for joining us here today. Really appreciate it. Before I tell you what you should be checking out, I said, John, real quick, where can they find you on your show? What's the name of the channel?
Please find me. The best. Yes, find me at the Rocha Says on Twitter and Instagram. And yes, my channel, if you haven't never heard of it before, The Outlaw Nation, it is up on YouTube. youtube.com/John Rocha.
Get out of here. All right. Thanks for joining us. Appreciate it. Thank you to our wonderful sponsors. Thank you to John. Thank you for all of you guys for being with us every week. We did 83 with John today, so they're going to be looking to battle that back tomorrow. I think it's Brett and Roxy. So check it out. Thanks for being here. Really appreciate it. We'll see you guys on the flip side. Peace out.